It's time for Show Me the Franchise.
With Thomas and Frederick. With Thomas and Frederick.
It's time for Show Me the Franchise.
With Thomas and Frederick. With Thomas and Frederick.
Welcome to Show Me the Franchise, the podcast that talks about franchises of all shapes, sizes, backgrounds, genres, and types. I am one of your hosts, Tom Stedler, here as usual with the loveliest doll I've ever seen. And I don't know if that's weird to call you a doll, but you are a doll, Mr. Fred Dakin.
I actually really liked it because I was sitting here thinking, like, what's Tom gonna throw me? It's always a surprise. And in that moment, I was thinking, I was like, because through the franchise, they've decided there's different good guy dolls other than Chucky. I feel Freddy or Fred is a great good guy doll. So I kind of saw myself as a doll. Like, I think I could be an iteration of a good guy doll.
I did feel seen in Child's Play 2 because there was a Tommy doll that Chucky like murders and buries and like, takes his place when he's at the foster home. And I was like, my guy.
We're going to come back to that one.
Yeah.
It's honored to be killed by Chucky, right?
It is an honor. Yeah. Gosh, I'm really happy our guest jumped in right away. And please do. We don't need to beat around the bush here. Of course, today's franchise, we're talking about Chucky / Child's Play, I guess, for whatever you're familiar with. But it's the Chucky doll, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about. And rejoining us here on Show Me the Franchise is previous guest, Jon Waldbauer. Welcome back to the show, Jon.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and get nerdy with you guys.
I don't know if you remember, but you pitched this to us the last time you were here.
I do. I was torn because I have an eternal love for MacGruber, which was the last episode that we did. Mm-hmm. And if I remember correctly, our episode was longer than the actual movie. And that was an accomplishment for me. Now, we did talk series a little bit as well, and some of the sketches, but I felt very excited about the fact that the time we spent talking about MacGruber was more than had actually been screen time of MacGruber. But right around that same time, I was really getting invested in the Child's Play series, the Chucky show that came out as well. We're going to keep it more movie specific, I think, in general, but maybe a couple notes from the show as well. So I was coming in firing of like, I'm so excited. I love talking to people about things like this. I love just going. And so like as soon as we were talking about the idea of doing it the first time, I was already like, okay, so then when I come back after the first time, let's do this. So taking a little time to get back here, but I'm really excited to be here, really excited to talk about this with you guys.
Yeah, we are too. Because I know, Fred, you jumped on that right away. You're like, we need it back.
I made the mental note. I was like, all right, we got our lineup for next year for Halloween.
Yeah, because this is the inaugural episode of our Halloween month, I guess.
Yeah, I thought you were about to ad lib like a cool name for it.
No, do you have one?
No, I don't have one. Boo Me the Franchise. That sounds bad. That sounds bad. Like we're saying boo, but it's boo.
No, yeah, like boo be the franchise.
Yeah,
Hear me the franchise.
Yeah, hey,
franchise.
hear me.
Show me the frights.
Ooh,
Show me the fright.
Show me the franchise. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think we found it.
Yeah.
I'm digging it. We found it. Look at this. This improv background's finally coming.
Oh,
to the
yeah.
surface here.
It's paying off.
But lest we get off on all of our backgrounds and tangents, Jon, what is your background with Child's Play? When did you first come into this series?
Yeah, so I'm someone who was raised in a pretty conservative environment in terms of what I was allowed to see. I think my parents justifiably were concerned about some of the things going on in culture, always, and they were pretty protective of that. And as such, I was, as a scared little child anyway. So I was not a horror person until honestly a few years ago. I had just kind of a big change in my life that happened, and it came with a different kind of understanding of what the genre could offer. Mm-hmm. So really I'd been a fan of the original Halloween and The Shining since before I got into horror, and the horror wave that I've endured since then, The Shining and Halloween and The Thing are still up there for me. But I've come around on it as a genre. I've come to be very excited by it. Check out all the, the mainstays, obviously. You got all the different Michael Myers ones, Jason, Freddy. And then Chucky is this kind of character that kind of gets tossed in because he is a slasher. Like, he is a slasher villain. but it's a very different kind of situation. And so I realized that at some point I was, I had never seen Child's Play. It was on the list of, as long as I'm checking out all these different things, might as well give this one a shot. I was a little hesitant because it seemed silly, and it is silly. And that's kind of what I've come around to, of like, oh, that's part of the selling point. Like, something that I thought was keeping me from it is part of why I enjoy it so much. So it's really just within the last couple of years, I have a tendency to find something I like and then just dive into it and tear it apart from the inside and immerse myself in it, which is probably a little bit of a vivid mental picture that would go along well with some of the things that happen in this series. But so it's a relatively recent passion for me, and I'm all in on it. Excited to talk about it and all the things that I think make this unique, and also keep it part of an incredible legacy of slasher killers in cinema.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's pretty cool. And it's very interesting you came into it recently.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it is always kind of in the background. I feel like we've talked about this before too, Fred. Like Child's Play 2, especially the cover of that movie.
Yes.
That's like a blockbuster staple. You see like Chucky, like with the giant scissors, like cutting the Jack in the Box like head off, and like it's a poster that it still kind of looks silly, but at the same end, there's something very kind of like unsettling about it.
Yeah, menacing for sure. I remember going to Shamrock Video in Wauwatosa growing up, being a little kid and seeing those things of like, feels like it's supposed to be me because it's a toy.
Yeah.
But a lot of that does not look like it's supposed to be for me.
No, it's true. But yeah, I mean, but certainly I didn't go after that movie for years because I was like, same feeling. Didn't look like something I'd be into. When did you first get into it though, Fred?
Well, I was always wanting to watch horror movies when I was younger because I had a similar background when it came to film. Like, it was G or PG, and sometimes even PG was pushing it. But like, and that was until about my brother turned 13. Then the wheels kind of came off on the PG-13 rule once like after one sibling gets old enough, it's kind of like, well, what, we're going to put them in separate rooms every time we want to watch something.
Yeah.
So, but I was always wanting to get into it, and I had a best friend, Cody, who his parents let him watch anything, and he was like a big horror kid. And I do remember going to his house when I was like 8 or 9, and like the first kind of horror movie of like the main guys, like you mentioned, like, which I think of as like the Mount Rushmore of the like Jason, Freddy, Michael. I don't know how many people are on. Is there 4 or 5? But if there's 5, I would include the Scream mask. And then Chucky's little head is there. And if not, then just Chucky and the other 3 guys I mentioned. But I was always fascinated, and I would just hear about like movies like this on the playground. That like you'd have it described to you what happened, and I lived for it. I do remember when I watched the shirt I'm wearing, Dream Warrior is one of my favorite horror movies. It was like 8 or 9, and it like scarred me. And that's what I would do. I would want to watch these movies, and if I did get my hands on it, I hated it. Like, I didn't hate the movie, but I was afraid for weeks.
Yeah.
And like you said, it was also the movie boxes that going to like Blockbuster. I didn't have Blockbuster in my growing up in a small town. I had a lot of like, I think it was Video 2000 was one of them. And it might have just been like the Tawny Town, video store. And I just remember looking at that Child's Play 2, that and Monkey Shines are the 2 I always remember as being creepy, which is like the clap monkey.
Oh yeah.
With with an evil, scary face.
Yeah.
But I eventually did get to Chucky, and I remember by the time I got to it, the thing that scared me the most was just like 80s depictions of cities. Like, I'm like, holy shit, the city's a hellhole. Which now that's something that I find comforting. I do love throwing on like a late 80s, early 90s movie where it's like New York or Chicago, and it's just like the way it's portrayed, it's like questionable, of course, but I am like, man, they used to just think it was the scariest shit being in the city.
They did.
Nothing scarier than the urban population.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's like the whole like driving force of Adventures in Babysitting. She's like stuck at Union Station. She's like,
Yeah.
pick me up. There's weird people here. It's like, dude, like Union Station is so
I mean, Candyman and the like reboot of Candyman play on that a lot, of like the Cabrini Green projects in Chicago, and like the focus and the intention of the first one, and it kind of gets subverted in the reboot. Not to go a totally different direction, but yeah, that classic, like, the city is a character, the like Woody Allen, you know, like the 10, not the 10. What's the state made the movie? They Came Together. Yeah, they came together, and they keep going back to like, and New York City is its own character.
Yes.
And in some of those horror movies, that same kind of vibe. Sure.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
threatening place where everyone is.
Yeah.
So I think the first one I saw, just to kind of sew it up
Oh.
or staple it up, was Bride of Chucky.
Oh.
Which was also kind of interesting because I'm like, oh, this guy's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of got jokes. And then I went back later and watched the old ones, and I love how there's like a type of Chucky for a different vibe now with everything that's out there.
And that felt like the first one, I think, that was the most self-aware of the franchise too. And we'll obviously talk a little bit about it here shortly, but that was also kind of my entry point of sorts too, because that was like, I think, what if I'm looking at it now, like 1998, something like that, that Bride of Chucky came out.
Yep, and I probably saw it when it was on video, like 99, 2000.
Yeah, and like it just like, I feel like it was sort of like the Chucky for like millennials. They're like, hey, if you guys weren't in on Child's Play before, check this out. You know what Chucky is. We're not even calling this Child's Play anymore. And then they just ditched that title completely.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. That'd be like just calling it like Freddy Krueger, like, right? Like, you'd be like, okay, Freddy takes.
I mean, ticket for one, please, but yeah.
But it is interesting, yeah, that you call that out, because yeah, that felt like a big deal when that movie came out. That and getting Jennifer Tilly, you know, it was like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was big. That was big for a young man.
I mean, I don't know. It's we'll talk a lot about that because that is such a dynamic change. Just looking at that, I can't even remember which one I watched first. I remember catching bits and pieces of these movies over time. Like Child's Play 2 and 3 kind of live in my brain a little bit, just like would be on late night Sci-Fi Channel or something. But like, I remember the first time I really sat down to watch Child's Play, like start to finish. I think I was like a junior or senior in high school, and I had a friend who had like a projector setup, like that 3-color, like all coming together projector setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were like sitting there watching the first movie. And I think because I had Bride of Chucky and like all these other movies like in my brain, I was like, well, this is going to just be a romp. And it really is such almost like psychological horror of sort. It's surprising when you see it, right?
The first couple Child's Play movies are arguably some of the darkest movies ever made when you consider it from like a real life perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because spoilers or whatever, but if we jump ahead to the beginning of Child's Play 2,
Mm-hmm.
Andy has been separated from his mother,
Mm-hmm.
who has been institutionalized because no one believes her that this doll came to life and tried to kill her and her child. All the witnesses are dead. And so now Andy's just like on his own in a world where he's constantly like being hunted by some sort of threat in this way. I mean, Chucky obviously being the threat.
Yeah.
But like as if the trauma of the experiences of the first movie are not enough for this child. Then his mother gets taken away from him and institutionalized, and he's left to deal with the horrors of the world on his own. Like, that's bananas. Like, that is so dark.
Yeah.
So,
And it's also now like a trope in a lot of like horror sequels now. I think about Final Destination 2. I think about Halloween Resurrection, where it's like we're going to have the character from the previous movie institutionalized because no one believes them about what happened. And then like they have to kind of, I don't think they do that in Child's Play 2, but a lot of them, they have to go to that person and kind of like get the real deal from them.
well, yeah, I mean, this and this, and also another thing that ends up happening throughout the franchise is kind of like it's a step ahead in the genre to think about it in that way, right? To give the perspective of like no one will believe this person, now they're institutionalized. The other big thing that this franchise does before Halloween got to it in 2018 was reintroduce, again, spoilers, but like little boy Andy comes back later in the franchise, and dude is not doing great. Like, he's been through it. He has clearly suffered through, trying to make sense of his childhood and trying to track down Chucky and put an end to all of this, whatever stuff, like dealing with the long-term effects of psychological trauma like that. Now it's not played entirely seriously because that's not what these movies are, but that kind of thing is there's a lot that happens in these movies that are really like progressive and forward thinking in ways that you would not expect when you look at the cover and see, the big scissors over the Jack in the Box or whatever the thing is that draws you to the series initially. They're these little landmines of asking the audience to take a step beyond just what they're watching.
Yeah. No, that's such a good point though too, because I think even just talking to Fred like leading up to this episode, and we were talking about like some of like the themes and some of like the metaphors that you can draw from this. I was like, how would you ever look at this series from the outside looking in and say, oh yeah, you're going to get a bit of that, you're going to get a bit of this? And certainly I think it's more commonplace now for horror to start doing that. That's almost like what horror's renaissance has been, is like these like almost like metaphorical things. Like you think about the movie It Follows, right? It's like an allegory for like losing your virginity and like what can happen if you like are unprotected sex, right? Or like but that's just a one for instance among many. But yeah, I mean, just to look at Child's Play and you think, how can you possibly get that out of a possessed doll that's trying to kill people? And yet we're going to talk all about that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I did want to dive into a little bit of the history of the production of the first one, if you guys will allow me to, because that is kind of some of the genesis for the first movie, is talking about some of the real life trauma that some of the people involved went through. Because it was Don Mancini, right? I think that's his name.
Yep, Don Mancini.
Just making sure. I was like, not Mancini or something like that.
I watched like 3 different things to try to like have him say his own name. I'm so conscious of trying to say everyone's names correctly. I wrote some names down phonetically in my notes. So like John Lafia. I'm sure I would say that wrong if I didn't write it down, but yeah, later direct. Yes. So I guess he first conceived of this, the movie idea when he was studying as a literature major at UCLA in 1985, and wrote the first draft of the screenplay while he was studying at Columbia University. Charmed life going to UCLA and Columbia.
Yeah.
But, he was inspired, though, by consumerism of the 1980s and the effect of marketing on children, based on his experiences with his own father, who was an executive in advertising for Cabbage Patch Kids. And, or I guess, I'm sorry, it was not with Cabbage Patch Kids. He was also inspired by the Cabbage Patch Kids. And apparently there was something called the Cabbage Patch Riots of 1983.
Yeah.
Was this just like...
I didn't know that was the name for it, but it was just like, I knew that it was like, this was like Black Friday type stuff, but just for this specific doll, the Cabbage Patch Kid, which like, if you look at one of these things, you're like, this is what everyone was going for, but hey, you know what?
Yeah, you're right. We've come a long way, and now we're into Labubu.
Yes.
Yeah.
Things have aged so well. Yeah, no, it's very much that thing of like people were tearing each other apart for these silly little dolls. And so, yeah, Don Mancini, inspired by that thing of like something that's intended to bring joy and, peace and delight to a household, instead creating real life violence for it.
Yeah. Which is, it's insane. Just the people fighting over that stuff. It's like, this is not worth it. Like
People fighting, period. Not worth it.
Yeah. Fair point. He had his troubled relationship, though, with his own father, and his experiences of alienation as a gay man, he said, caused him to kind of center the script around a child with a single mother and no father figure. So, father figure, man.
Hey,
I was like,
you gonna plug the show when you're talking about this dude's trauma? I'm just kidding.
I was like, we know about fathers.
I thought we were going to get into a George Michael sing-along. Or I can be your father. I don't know how much I can sing without you guys having to clear that.
Well, now
That was good.
Now it's a Taylor Swift song, John. I don't know if you heard the new album.
Hey, don't talk to me. I have 6 copies of that new record.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
As a vinyl collector, that is my retirement plan.
Oh, perfect.
There you go.
Got some buyers if you're looking for them.
But we did come out to George Michael's father figure for our last show. So.
Hey, true. A lot of people have come out to George Michael's father figure.
Great point. I mean, back on point. So here with Don Mancini, obviously living, I think, on his own here. He was influenced, though, outside of the Cabbage Patch Kid craze, was like Poltergeist was another huge influence on him. Twilight Zone's episode, The Living Doll. It's a very classic Twilight Zone episode. And Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street, which is something I was thinking a lot about as I was starting to rewatch some of these. Is like, Chucky does have a bit of Freddy to him for sure.
Oh yeah.
Like they are, if Jason Voorhees is more Michael Myers, then yeah, Freddy is more Chucky.
They've got bits.
Bits, quips, one-liners, always something to say for sure. And very much part of this like renaissance with these slasher killers of like, they are not the hero of the movie, but they're the point of the movie, right? Like the original Halloween, even Michael Myers is not the lead character of the movie. Jamie Lee Curtis's character is. So, but then over time, as these characters get more personality and more interesting stories, it's like, well, that's why it's not Child's Play anymore. Now it's a Chucky movie, right? Like, tell the people what it is in that way. So, Chucky had a personality from the onset, and they just kept ramping it up in ways that really changed the trajectory of the series in fun ways.
Well, and you kind of think about it too, and I think we can talk a little more about this, right? But like the idea of it going from Child's Play, which is more about like this sort of idea of like, is it it's like a murder mystery, right? Is like, is it Andy the one who's committing these like acts of violence, or is Chucky actually alive, right? So it is a little bit of like
Adolescence was really pulling from this movie, I feel.
oh, I didn't see that yet.
Oh yeah. You don't have to. I think it's good, but it's intense.
That's what I've heard.
On that topic though of the like that thing of, you know, where is this coming from? Do people believe that Chucky is the one actually doing it? I mean, so that script that Don Mancini wrote went through a number of iterations. I don't mean to step on your notes if that's what we're getting into.
Go for it.
Yeah, so it went through a couple of rewrites. Don Mancini's original script, apparently, the doll was acting out the id of Andy. So the idea of like all his wildest things, like the doll would do it. And then I think it was Tom Holland who went on to direct, not Spider-Man.
We gotta be clear about that. Different guy.
The director of Fright Night, a couple other classic films. So Tom Holland rewrote it and gave it this kind of like different direction. And I know, again, I think it was John Lafia who had another idea that came into it. And they kind of got into the place where it landed of like, it's this like voodoo curse that put this serial killer into the doll's body rather than it being Andy's, will making this happen. And I think that there's a really interesting thing that happens there if you don't do that, which is like, are you going to make a child responsible, even if it's acting beyond what it knows it's capable of? And, you know, like a kid isn't really going to understand the full consequences, but like, how do you land that movie? That's the part of it that's most bonkers to me.
That would have been a very ahead of its time type movie, I think, for the 80s. Like today, I think you can get away with that. Like you were just talking about adolescence. Like that is a thing that would absolutely fly today. In the 80s, that would have been like, that's promoting child violence. You can't tell a story like that. And I'm sure that was some of the feedback that they got on the script, right? Like, you can't have this. Like, which, I don't know. I'm more interested in what's a more honest story, but also then we don't get Chucky as we live and breathe it today.
I mean, that's how it goes, right? Like you get some weird stuff because of the voodoo curse, but that weird stuff turns into pure delight late in the series.
Guys, I have so many questions about the voodoo curse and the mechanics of it.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
The cult of Chucky onward is there. There's so many questions.
I am going to take a moment now because I have a mini segment that I feel like I'm just going to get out of the way now.
Let's do it.
Because we do have, you're talking about consumerism. I do have a Fanta drink here called Chucky's Punch.
Yes.
And I don't want us to wait to try because I don't think it will improve with warmth.
No.
We'll add a picture to the socials, but Fanta's doing a line of horror drinks. They don't sponsor the show, but maybe after this they will.
Hey.
They're doing like black phone drinks, Five Nights at Freddy's, and I saw the Chucky when we decided to do this episode, and I grabbed it, and I've been sitting on it for a while like fine wine. So we are going to try it. Keep good going, Tom, but, we'll also maybe throw out our initial thoughts about it.
Yeah, definitely wanted to give it a little taste test to it. Why don't you go ahead and pop that now so I can...
I don't know why I was about to lift it up just so people knew we were legit. I'm gonna pour mine, and then everyone, I'm gonna pass around. You can pour as much or as little as you want.
Perfect.
Thank you for sharing.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, really appreciate it. I mean, and it is funny that there is a drink that's sponsored by Chucky. Of course, a doll that people have been purchasing in this movie series, and yet, now he's like the spokesperson. Like, here's a soda.
Something that I think is kind of funny is that like this is, I mean, as everything does eventually, like this theory started as a critique of commercialism, right? And now here we are buying the soda based on the movie, and like how many people own Chucky dolls, how much Chucky merch is there over the years. So it's kind of funny that that's transformed entirely in that way.
But they have to be aware of what they're doing, right?
Oh, for sure. And I think that's the most fun kind of marketing. But you mentioned all the different toys and all that. Right now at Botana's in St. Francis, I met previous guest Josh there for margarita and some tacos. They have in displays a Chucky and a Tiffany doll right now, and like really like the ones you used to see at Spencer's Gifts, you know, like looks just like the movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it's still a thing that people love.
Well, cheers to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Clink, clink.
Clink.
Yeah, definitely clink, virtual clink here. I will say I did try a sip already. I think it's kind of like almost like carbonated Hawaiian punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely tastes sweet. No, but it also is very kind of, it makes me think about the products in the first Child's Play, like the cereal and the cartoon that he's watching. Like, I feel like Andy would drink this shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much like all of the sweetness, just all in the first. Like you can't even get the full drink into your mouth, and it's just like, look how much sweetness is in this. It's, yeah, I think that probably similarly to, I would say, a lot of people's experiences of the Child's Play franchise, I think that there'd probably be a lot of people that would enjoy the first couple sips and then probably move on with their life. Now me, I'm going to enjoy the few sips. I'm probably going to sour on it a little bit, but then I'm going to come back to it and really love it again by the end. So.
Which maybe is a spoiler for what we're going to be talking about. I did want to mention a couple of facts about the iterations of the scripts, because originally the script title was Batteries Not Included.
Dun, dun, dun.
Already a movie, right? Or is going to be a movie?
It was in production at the time that they had the script written, so he had to change the name from Batteries Not, which
Sort of a spoiler for the movie, too.
Well, but then they switched it to Blood Buddy.
yes,
I mean, that good.
Yeah.
That's good.
and
That's very good.
do you know like what the function was with this? This is some crazy shit.
I can picture it, but I'm excited to hear if it's what I'm picturing.
It would have featured a doll filled with fake blood that would allow it to bleed if played with roughly, and it would have started coming alive while Andy was asleep after he mixed his own blood with the dolls.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty cool. I gotta
Metal.
say, pretty metal, pretty
Yeah.
cool. I just assumed it meant like blood got on the buddy and the blood made it come to life. That's way cooler than what I could think of.
It's just a weird, like, that's really just, that's dark in itself.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine if that would have been it. Like, the idea that this is supposed to be a doll that you just like hug and like have like friends with, that's like creepy enough on its own.
Oh, I had a My Buddy growing up.
You did?
I did. Yeah, it was. There are plenty of pictures where that doll is about my size. In photos growing up, and so that was that's the piece of it to get into the real life of like, even though I wasn't watching these Child's Play movies, I still had a general idea of what they were, just even from quick commercials or marketing in video stores or whatever else. So even without having seen Chucky in my youth, there were still moments where like the lights would go off in the bedroom at the night and just like a couple extra glances over at my buddy and make sure he's staying in his chair.
Yeah, because it's a concept as a kid you can grasp and be afraid of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it just reminds me of just like I definitely remember friends having like Chucky dolls like in their room or whatever, and you'd sleep over and you're just like, it's like that scene in Look Who's Talking To where he thinks like all the toys are coming off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the character of Charles Lee Ray, I guess they named him after, it was a combination of Charles Manson, Lee Harvey Oswald, and James Earl Ray. So,
And just the whole thing, I feel like that's a big serial killer thing to have the three name. I mean, most people have three names, but to have it said like that, you know.
Yeah, I think that's specifically a thing of like assassins and serial killers. You make sure to hit all three of the names when you
Right.
I feel like there's a piece of media that actually talks about that. Like it.
It's so Charles Ray can walk down the street, you know, isn't that the whole, I would assume is the point.
That's right.
You know, Charles Ray is fine, but Charles Lee Ray is the one you have to worry about.
yeah. Because you're right. It's like John Wilkes Booth, man, John Wayne Gacy, right? Yeah, that is a thing. I don't.
There's more, I just don't know.
Kermit the Frog. There are so many names.
The most notorious killer of them all. But yeah, I guess it was a lot of back and forth with trying to get Tom Holland on board. He actually left the movie for a time before he came back to direct it. And that was when he kind of came across the idea of like, okay, we're going to start working on this and bring in the voodoo magic that you mentioned.
And I'm bringing Chris Sarandon with me.
Yeah. Which I forgot Chris Sarandon is even in the first movie.
Folks, before we had a Mark Ruffalo, we had a Chris Sarandon. That's what I always think when I watch the first Child's Play. I was like, he's got that Mark Ruffalo face.
Which, like,
Feel that.
I feel like most people are like, who's Chris Sarandon again? Like, if you tell them now and it's like, okay, it's Prince Humperdinck from Princess Bride. They're like, oh, okay, that's it. But have you guys seen Fright Night, which got him this role?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
He's fantastic in that movie.
That Dog Day Afternoon, or like those are the three for me that I always think of Chris Sarandon. Well, also Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great actor. I will say I watched a bunch of the doc of Chucky, in case you're curious, exists, in case you'd like to try. I think it's like 300 minutes long. They spend like it's like watching the movies back to back to back, but people are talking about them too. And then there's another great shorter doc called Living with Chucky. I think that's what it's called, Living with Chucky. That's actually directed by Tony Gardner's daughter. Tony Gardner being the guy who took over the effects around, I think it's Bride of Chucky.
Okay.
And he's been in a bunch of, I mean, he's an effects legend. But so on that, just before we move on from Chris Sarandon, who I think did an incredible job in in Child's Play, apparently the introduction to his character is different in the cut, because so the first cut of Child's Play in test screenings did not go well. Lots of laughter when they didn't want laughter. So they cut, I guess, like a half hour of the movie to get it down. And part of the thing that they cut is that opening chase where he is chasing Chris Sarandon's character. Is it Norris? Detective Norris or something like that?
Yes, Detective Norris.
Yeah, so he's chasing Charles Lee Ray. There's like a shootout going on. But apparently that scene starts with Chris Sarandon walking down a dark alley in drag. And Charles Lee Ray accosts him thinking it's a woman, at which point he's like, Detective Norris, freeze! And then the whole thing goes from there. So just an added there's little pieces of that in both of those docs, if you feel like going back and seeing at least some stills. But it's that thing of like, I don't know what that would have necessarily added to the movie. But it feels like a thing of like, Chris Sarandon was more game than we got to see. Like he was willing to go like the full lengths that this movie went to. As weird as it got, it was even, further in those directions. So I love that. I love that idea of like, that in 2025, not necessarily that surprising. That in 1988 would still be a thing.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
Wonder if that would, but also I feel like now, I guess like we kind of accept sort of things from older movies, but would we have like have the same love for like Chucky, like Chucky, Freddy, bad dudes. I mean, Freddy, it's crazy what he did that we still kind of like Freddy's my guy, but
I feel like not to get too far from where we are, but it's crazy the way that we like cheer for these slashers. And Freddy is the one that I keep like, look, Jason and Michael were just children who had tough childhoods that sent them down some terrible paths. Obviously, I'm simplifying here, but Freddy's history is like really not cool.
Right.
As far as those stories go, like really, really not cool. And for people to be like, yeah, I got this Freddy Krueger tattoo. It's like, I get it that he's a character. And also like, what are we going to like cancel the killer? Like that.
Right. So maybe there isn't anything, but I do wonder, like, would that give it a little pause? Like, are we going to be really like on the Chucky rooting side if he's like committing a hate crime in the first part?
Yeah.
It's a delicate balance with, I mean, all these movies,
Yeah.
right? To not glorify the killing, but also making you have to make them entertaining, and you have to make the killer somewhat of like a character you want to follow, and you don't want them to die until the end, right?
Yeah.
You want it to feel earned, you want it to feel built up, and I do feel like a lot of these movies do that with Chucky, where he's just despicable enough, but you're also kind of like, what kind of jabs is he going to get in?
He's got a little stinker energy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the, horror and comedy arguably have the same kind of timing, right? Like it's the creating tension and then the release. And the release is often a surprise. Sometimes when we see the release of tension in horror coming, it's funny. Sometimes when we see the release of tension in comedy, it is horrifying. Right? So it's that. So Chucky found this really great way to be like, no, it's all of it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It is the horror and the comedy all at once. It really unites that in a different way. And I think that, there is some touching of like real life subjects all the way through that franchise again, but like never too heavy handed. Well, I don't know. Let's talk about it when we get deeper into it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's get through the rest of the casting so we can actually start talking about the movies. I'm sorry. Catherine Hicks was hired on the recommendation of Leonard Nimoy from her work on Star Trek 4.
Yeah.
Holland considered hundreds of children then from across the United States for the role of Andy Barclay, but despite the lack of acting experience compared to other finalists, Alex Vincent was cast because in his second audition, he convincingly pretended to forget his lines in order to not cuss in front of his mom, who was at the set with him, and they were like, wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Like, he's really good at that.
The other thing that one of the docs said was like, one of the things that really drew us to Alex Vincent was that he wasn't as happy as the other children.
Oh.
Like there was something of like, child actors potentially like, hi, I'm happy to be here, whatever. And apparently in the moments when he wasn't actively performing, he was just kind of still. And there was something about that was like, oh, this is more in line than what we don't want the bubbly child. We want like a child who's kind of going through it a little bit.
Right. Yeah. A little more like Haley Joel Osment and like Sixth Sense,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. Sure.
But very melancholy. John Lithgow was considered to play Charles Lee Ray before Brad Dourif was brought in.
Makes sense. All the De Palma stuff.
Yeah. I guess initially though, Brad Dourif was hired, left the movie, and they went through a couple iterations of how they wanted to work with Chucky, because they at first wanted to do kind of like a sound chips like type voice, had somebody voice it. It didn't sound great. So then they drew inspiration from The Exorcist, cast a female actress to do the voice of Chucky, who was Jessica Walter. Do you guys know who that is?
From like Archer?
Yeah.
Lucille Bluth.
Arrested Development.
Yeah.
Lucille Bluth. And just, totally based on that. But like they had that in place, but then when Dourif came back, they just scrapped all the recordings, which I guess she recorded a lot for the movie was the word. But that's just pretty wild to even think about. Just the fact that they even had somebody else like do all the recording. It's basically like a Shrek situation, right?
Yeah.
Like
I was gonna say Shrek or like Back to the Future, right?
Yeah.
Like, same thing of like we get into it and like, this isn't the move. We're gonna go a different direction. It's got to be bonkers to have committed that far and then not having it used. But at the same time, it's hard to argue with the results.
yeah,
For sure.
So, I mean, the movie then kind of came together. Chucky was a puppet controlled by 9 different puppeteers. And they moved Chucky's mouth via a radio control. So the lead puppeteer, Brock Winkless, had like his own little rig that he would capture the mouth movement.
And what a name!
Yeah, that's what I was like. Like that dude.
But I guess, and I just want to jump ahead. By the time they made Curse of Chucky in 2013, they only had about like 2 or 3 puppeteers like controlling
Oh
Chucky.
wow.
So what I'll point out with that is
Yeah.
that when they got to the point of doing, I think it was 3, that there were up to like 15 puppeteers.
Oh my gosh.
Because there's stuff that happens, on the face of like, there's one person controlling eyebrows, there's one person controlling the eyes, there's one person controlling the cheeks, and you have to all work in sync. So like, if Chucky turns and reveals a new expression, all of that has to work in sync. And something that the actors, through these, other supplementary things that I watched were talking about, is that like something that's unique about the Chucky series is that like in another movie, you get the takes to get the performance you want. In the Chucky movies, it's going to take a few takes for Chucky to do what he's supposed to do.
Sure.
And I hope that you gave your performance at that time too, because we can't do it again. Now that we got it, we got to move on, because it also took so long to keep resetting to that same point.
Yeah.
Got to keep starting over in that way. So the restrictions on folks that way, certainly a thing. The other thing is that cutting down the number of puppeteers wasn't entirely due to them getting better at it. A lot of that came down to by the time they're in the last couple movies, the budget was nothing. And so they're
Really?
filming in, I think, Eastern Europe, and they're only allowed to fly 2 or 3 U.S. crew members over, and then they have to rely on local folks there to fill in those gaps.
Oh,
So
wow.
So that's the thing, is that like these, the budgets of these slashers go up initially for the sequels, and then they start going down because the return on investment never gets back to that same place.
Right.
So then the filmmakers have to get really creative with like, how do we do this? There's some comment of like the entire production of the final Chucky movie, I think, was the same as the budget for the initial effects of Child's Play.
Wow.
There's some way, and I could be entirely misquoting, I could be entirely wrong on that, but in terms of the way that changes over time, certainly they get better at using Chucky, at making Chucky, but at the same time, a lot of that is also coming from the studio not being willing to give them the resources to bring that whole crew with them.
Yeah. Man, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, but you're right though. It's like at some point you gotta not pretend this is gonna be a smash success, which it is surprising. It almost generated a series. Like I was literally, when you guys were telling me about this, I'm like, really? Like there's a TV show?
Mm-hmm. And I do feel when we talk about like the budget and seeing the money on the screen, I will say to its compliment, I think Chucky always works. It's the kind of the composition of the shots, little things like that are kind of where, like how like the last 2 movies look a little streamy. But
sure.
I think Chucky always looks good in the movements throughout all iterations. So I do feel they put the money there.
That absolutely. I want that money in the monster if there's only a little bit. And they definitely, the last 2 have a direct to video feel because they were direct to video.
Right.
But then you compare that to like later in the Hellraiser series and you're like, wow, thank you. Thank you for focusing.
Yeah.
Don and your crew, thank you for staying on track with what the vision is.
Yeah. So I guess on that note though, actually, you were talking about that 2-hour cut that like wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And they said they
Wasn't received well, we should say.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wasn't received well.
Sure. But I guess one of the things that they wanted to do was reduce the amount of time Chucky was actually on the screen as like the monster, because they were kind of thinking like maybe less is more, sort of like Jaws, sort of like Alien. The less you see of him doing anything, the more tantalizing it is when he actually is like moving around and doing all that. So, I mean, which also you speak to that and how like meticulous it is to get these shots done and then be like, they're actually going to cut some of that. But then again, same shit happened with Jaws, right? It's like they tried to make that thing work and they're like, this is looking like crap. And Steve's just like, I'm going to fix this.
That's it. Sometimes you got to cut Bruce to get a better Jaws.
Yeah.
That's true. I guess there is an alternate ending. Maybe we can talk about the movie though before we get to that, because it's an interesting idea that also kind of, I don't know, I think it was good. Budget was $13 million. Movie came out November 9th, 1988. Guesses on the box office?
Adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
I'm going to just say 50.
I'm going to say 35.
Guys are very close. $44 million.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah.
Over triple its budget. That's very good for this caliber.
Solid.
Right? I mean, and there was a surefire after that. I think it ended up getting good reviews. Again, like talked about the idea of like how you kind of left guessing to the end of the movie. And I mean, let's just talk a little bit about Child's Play 1. What do you guys think about it overall?
I think it's good. I do like that it's the kind of more straightforward horror one. And I just like that there is that option.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I think that again, like coming to it, so I must have been 35, 36, 37 as I'm getting into it as an older man. So yeah, I knew that it existed as this bigger property. I knew some of the goofier places it was bound to go. So I didn't have the expectation for the movie that I got, which was legit a pretty tense movie all the way through. And even in the moments when it's not focusing on the Chucky element of it, like it's still a movie that really takes itself seriously, but not too seriously. Like it keeps you caring about the relationships involved. It keeps you concerned for the well-being, and then it kind of makes that incredible shift of like, oh gosh, this is the real threat. And also, after you can stop the threat, again, who's gonna believe this? Like, how do you solve this? And so it's that thing where like the answer only creates more questions in a really brilliant way. Yeah, I thought it was a lot better of a movie, respectfully, than I thought I was going to get on the first watch.
Yeah, for sure. And you brought up Halloween before too, and I do think about that a lot with thinking about this, because the first Halloween feels like Carpenter is really like, I mean, one, he's really not showing you a lot of Michael Myers until like the actual ending and like a lot of the kill scenes start coming up, right? And you kind of see just sort of like most of that movie is just like Jamie Lee Curtis like looking around, like, is somebody following me? Like, you know, and we're not into any of the lore yet, you know, and I think you get a lot of that in this movie too. It is like, you know, you're sort of looking around the corners, you're sort of looking inside the house, like, is there something moving in there? Or like, and like, what's going on with this relationship with the mom and the son? And it's been a while since I've seen Child's Play 1, but I do have a lot of fond memories of watching that, and even just being like, you know, Chucky's gonna come to life, but you're still kind of left wondering, like, is he? Like, and there's and not to jump far ahead. I mean, we're completely in spoiler territory. I think this episode is for the people.
Oh yeah,
but there is a
and by the way, before we move on from that, if you have not seen the Child's Play movies and are worried that the spoilers are going to impact your viewing experience,
not at all.
Throw that away. Just have a good time. The first couple are spooky, then they get weird and fun, and then they get a little spooky again at the end, but still mostly just weird and fun.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like Fred and I were saying, we watched Bride of Chucky, but I think before we really watched the first full.
And
it doesn't.
How will I follow this?
But like, there is a moment in Cult of Chucky, which is like the last movie that came out. And like the Chucky's like disembodied head is like talking to Andy, and he's like, "Are you sure you're not crazy? You sure this isn't just all in your head?" And for a moment, I was like, "Wouldn't that be the mind fuck of this whole series? That like this was somehow like just Andy's like fantasy, and
it
like,
was his id the whole time,
man." And I'm like, that would be some wild shit. I don't know how the TV series ends, or I don't know anything about the TV series. I'll be asking you guys all about that. So. But it was a very fascinating point where I'm like, no, we're not going to do this.
That'd be a hilarious, like, for all the outrage about like, it was all a dream. Like, that'd be a hilarious turn of like, we are 7 movies deep, and it turns out this was all you this whole time, including the movies where you weren't even in them.
Yeah, right?
Yep, we're all inside a snow globe.
Krampus.
Oh my God.
So on the Halloween stuff, so Halloween still holds an incredible piece of my heart. I got to meet Nick Castle, by the way, who's the Shape. For those that wouldn't know, he's friends with Dick Chudnow, and they were in town last summer, and so blew my mind away. Nick Castle is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He signed too much stuff for me. So kind. But so something that's incredible, I think, about Halloween is the acknowledgement of like, your brain is probably scarier than whatever we can show you. There's something about you not knowing where this person is that's scarier than us showing you where he is. It's that unseen threat. It's, you know, what happens when the shark Bruce malfunctions. So you have to show him less in Jaws. You get a scarier movie. When Chucky gets, you know, overexposed and is funnier than he is scary, cut him down, becomes scarier. I will say that the perfect example of scary and funny hand in hand is that quick shot of Karen on the phone in her living room when things are starting to go wrong and Chucky runs through the background.
Yeah.
And that one was one where, like, you know, it's a lot of animatronics in the movie. There's a lot of like actual dolls and stuff like that. That was a 4-year-old girl with a wig wearing the clothes, just tearing through the background of the scene. And it is both horrifying and absolutely hilarious. It's that moment where your body doesn't know how to react, so you kind of have to laugh, even though it's like, ha, ha, ha. Like you have to get something out, but it's really unsettling.
Yeah.
It's really unsettling.
And there is just some genuine scary moments in these movies, because I think I kept going back and forward. Like I've got a wife who doesn't like scary movies at all, and I was like, I think you can handle this. And then I watched Child's Play 2, and I'm like, maybe not. And then I watched Bride of Chucky, and I was like, maybe so. And then I watched the Cult of Chucky or whatever, and then I'm like, no. And I'm like, there's some disturbing stuff. And the last thing you want is thinking like something's gonna be under your bed or whatever, because that's like one of the, and to pull on another franchise, Poltergeist, like thinking about like the little clown toy under your bed. And that's why I like almost thought of like that Chucky like perfects that idea of like he could be anywhere because he's so small, he can hide in little spaces. And it's just
But that, I think that right there is such an interesting part of this franchise. It's like Michael Myers, what are you going to do when he's coming at you? You have to run because he's huge and he has a knife and he will kill you. Jason Voorhees is coming at you. What do? You gotta run because he is big and he is going to kill you. Freddy is coming at you. What do? I try to wake up, right? Like try to get out of there because you can't fight. You can't fight Freddy. You can't beat Freddy. You can't beat Leatherface. You can't beat so many of these classic, like murderous things. But then Chucky's a little doll, and like for all of the things, like why don't you just punt him? Like the dude gets punted, like the dude gets thrown, all of these things, he even when he gets dropped and rolls under the couch, like in a funny and like scary moment again, like there's a weird underdog thing to him of like even though he's trying to kill children in some moments of the series, it's like but he's still smaller than them. There's a weird, like you're both at ease because can I really be that scared of him? But he's so creative and evil that he's gonna get you. So it creates this weird juxtaposition in a way that those other classic villains don't necessarily.
No, that's a really good point. He's just, it is like, and you see so many people who are able to just kind of like hold him back with like one hand. Like it's literally like the image of like somebody putting their forehand on like a child's head. Or they're trying to run at him. I do that to my nephew sometimes.
Well, there's in Child's Play when, you know, the battery is not included. When the moment happens where Karen takes out the battery pack and there's no batteries in there, and it's like, and then the head spins. And, hi, I'm Chucky. Want to play? Drop it or whatever. There's the moment shortly thereafter where she's holding him up and he's screaming all the worst things that he can scream, right? Like all of the obscenity, and they have to go that much further so that it spikes that much because he's been so kind of like funny and cute, and now you have to go that much further. I will say I think it was on Instagram that I first saw the Spanish dub of that moment, and if you have not seen it, I'd like to encourage you to go watch it because
definitely got to check that out.
It is a very scary moment, but then the person that they had do the Spanish voice of Chucky has a very masculine, deep voice. And Chucky has some elements of that, but also gets into some like kind of like almost more witchy kind of tone.
Right.
But this is straight up, and I don't speak Spanish, so I'm not going to try to do the thing, but it's very fast, and it's very aggressive, and the tone of like this frantically shaking Chucky doll with this like it's a very funny moment, and it's that thing again of like the juxtaposition of this like all of this evil in this tiny little plastic adorable thing.
Yeah. But yet you have the voice of Brad Dourif, who is what? Not even 7 years removed from an Academy Award nomination.
Yep.
Right? Like, this was not a small get for the voice of Chucky, at least at the time. I mean, obviously, Dourif has been doing things, but never quite to the level of like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which he's brilliant in. And you feel so bad for that character, like at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
But like, he is just, I think you always just think about him behind there, and I always think of that performance specifically, even though I've seen him in other stuff. But like, just like the empathy that you get to that character, and yet he's just out here just dropping lines like this all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just, I think I almost like it too when he's like not quite as excited. I love his like calm demeanor.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys do a good Chucky.
I do
I'm not going to do it after you. Jesus.
that was solid, Tom. I do not do a good Chucky. I will tell you though that like that the levels that Brad Dourif finds of that character are very much part of it, and I think that's very much part of who he is as a character as well. Because there are so many times where he's manipulating people. He's like, "No, come on, just trust me. We're gonna do this," and it's people that he's going to kill, and it's people that he cares about that he'll also probably still try to kill. But it's everyone all the time. And even in some of the moments, like there's a line from the series that I'll call back when we get to that point. But like he's an incredible manipulator. In addition to being as violent as he is, those laid back moments when he's not going crazy will get you into that like, oh, this is gonna be fine, and then there's a knife or there's a television thrown into a bathtub or whatever else.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, let's start talking about the rest of this because I think when we get more Chucky on screen is where this franchise really transforms, right? So I did want to talk about an alternate ending though. I guess there was an alternate ending in which Chucky is stabbed by Andy with a knife mounted on a radio controlled car and has his face and legs melted with a squirt gun filled with Drano attached to it, being lit on fire and repeatedly being like fired upon. It like it would have been like it's completely ridiculous. He's getting shot at by like police officers while he's like this weird like melted almost kind of like how he is at the end of 2, like, you know, where he becomes like that like melted like monster. But yeah, I guess while they're storing Chucky's remains in the evidence room, another cop would have disbelieved like that the doll was alive, and then you see Chucky's arm like swat a fly or something like that. So it's some weird stuff.
Sort of like a maybe a little Psycho kind of reference there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I never would harm a fly.
But Chucky would.
Yeah. So United Artists had purchased the script to the original Child's Play partially because they saw the potential for a franchise with multiple sequels. David Kirshner asked Tom Holland to return as director for a sequel, but Holland declined due to his conflicts with producer David Kirshner and UA during the first film.
So real quick, David Kirshner is the guy that championed Don Mancini's script. David Kirshner is the producer that was like a co-collaborator. Those guys have been working together for years and years and years. Feels like we should also, before we go too deep, you know, sometimes someone will create a character and then move on and do whatever else. Don Mancini has been essentially running Chucky for, is it 40 years now? Like it's close to it. And so it's very rare for something to go on this long, have a singular creative vision in the way that it does. There is part of the, you know, you're talking about the friction with Tom Holland. Tom Holland on his rewrite of the script decided that he wanted sole credit for the script because he brought in the elements that changed it. So that's where some of the falling out happened, if I understand the story correctly. But David Kirshner, again, someone who was present pretty much all the way through the series, as far as I understand, and a big champion of the original idea and what it turned into.
Sure. Which is cool. I think it's good to have someone in your corner. Yeah, it's almost like George Miller with Mad Max.
Yeah.
With Mancini and Chucky. So I guess John Lafia, you said is his name?
Lafia. I believe.
Lafia.
Yeah.
He had originally turned down being director because he had no experience in the first one, but it was hired by Kirshner after he did direct a movie. So Mancini also agreed to return, and they decided together to set the film at a foster home due to Lafia's experience living in a large family. So originally, the film was intended to open with a courtroom scene with a jury sentencing Karen Barclay to a mental institution for insisting that Chucky was alive, and both Sarandon and Catherine Hicks were going to return. But I guess Sarandon recalled that he had declined to return when he realized Tom Holland would not be involved. But I guess they just completely cut that scene for budgetary reasons, among the fact that they couldn't really even get them back.
Yeah.
And I guess in Curse of Chucky, they do have a courtroom scene that maybe has some footage of them in it. Do you guys remember this?
Ooh, I just watched this today, and there is a courtroom scene, but I don't know if they're in it.
Maybe they just kind of repurposed
been a
it.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. Earlier today.
Yeah. But I guess principal photography began, though, November 6, 1989, with a $12 million budget. Eventually,
The other one was 13.
the other one was $13 million. So
I guess you have the R&D down of the doll, so maybe this little.
Sure.
they estimated between 9 to 13 for the first one. The second one landed at 13 exactly.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So November 9th, 1990, the second one came out. Second one, different vibe. In some ways, because you just get significantly more Chucky running around now, being Chucky. Maybe the first introduction.
Yeah, like we figured out who the star is. And with respect to young Andy, it's not him, it's the doll.
Yeah.
There's almost like a Burton Batman franchisey kind of thing going on to in my mind, where it's like Batman and Batman Returns, and then there's Batman Forever, and that to me is Child's Play 3, where it's like, oh, that okay, it take it for what it. Now I'm saying this. I quite enjoy Batman Forever for what it is.
We do as well.
Yes.
But it's a hard turn from
sure.
Batman Returns.
Yes.
And so I think that there's some level of that, like, not to move too quickly through Child's Play 2, but like it feels like the darkness established in Child's Play 1 gets amped up in 2, and then it's like we're kind of out of darkness that we're going to put this little child through. So let's age him up and then get weird again.
Yeah.
I remember I did not revisit 2 and 3, which in this conversation now I really wish I did. I watched pretty much everything else. I do really remember the Ebert review and him being like just livid at this movie for the child endangerment aspect of it.
Oh wow, really? For 2?
Yeah.
Man.
And if I think Siskel is kind of like the set piece is pretty cool. The like Toy Factory ending, which is what I do remember from it. But and this is one you did watch for this. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because it had been a long time since I had seen 2, and I remember that being one of those I'd seen like bits and pieces of.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Hey.
But like it just to kind of go through like the reassembly of Chucky and everything in there, and just getting a lot of him. And I was just like, man, this is really just something different. Especially when you do remember 1 and you're like, okay, so now it's just, the secret's out. And instead, you're just like the audience, and you get kind of mad at the people who don't believe poor Andy. And he's like, that child's alive. And he's like, Chucky's going to get me. And they're like, it's just a doll, dummy. And I don't know. It's just, but it's an interesting movie.
I feel like horror as a genre is very good at being like, hey, here's a bunch of characters that you're not going to mind when they die.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, sometimes we're going to make them unlikable.
Yeah.
So you're kind of rooting for
Deliberately,
them to
so
die.
that you can really enjoy the set piece that we're
Yes.
going to build for this crazy Rube Goldberg, whatever, of how we're going to kill this person through like a mousetrap falls on a thing, goes through the whatever. And so, yeah, there's a lot of, in a way that I almost feels like replicates some of the moments of childhood uneasiness or not knowing something as a kid and like asking an adult. And it's like, well, adults have all the answers, right? Like, you know what this is, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you're just a kid, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, there's almost like a visceral feeling to some of that. I think that makes that horror that much.
That Stephen King It kind of vibe too.
Yeah.
And you definitely feel that when you see his interactions with like the foster parents and how like they keep getting livid with him and they're like, you did this, or if it wasn't you, it was obviously this other girl that we're fostering. And it's just like, who should you guys even be doing this? Like you
But then here's the thing. We as the audience know, but put yourself in their shoes.
sure.
Are you going to believe the new kid whose doll comes to life and is causing havoc? What's it going to take for you to believe that? Because
Yeah,
it's
that's a
probably
good
when the
point.
doll is stabbing me to death.
I
And
know.
I'll be like, wait, the doll is alive?
This is the reaction the movie wants you to have to.
Of course.
You want to be
Of course.
like, I don't care about these people. They're very mean and unassistive and just, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It definitely is just, it's a wild ride.
It feels almost sadistic. In
Yes.
moments. Child's Play 2 gets to levels of discomfort again for the peril that Andy is in, for again how dark it is that the circumstances have brought him here, and they're unrelenting. And that not only is this still just going, now it's like, any situation we put you in now, probably everyone around you is gonna die anyway.
Yeah.
Have fun. Here's 90 minutes. You
Yeah.
know, like.
But you do definitely just like empathize with poor Andy. Like you
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
mentioned, he's going through this whole situation. He got separated from his mother, and now he's in this foster home. It sounds like nobody really like knows how to do with him, and
Yeah.
like they don't know how to handle him because he's obviously just traumatized. And it's so I think it's kind of heart felt when you do see him bond with Kyle at the end of the movie,
Yeah.
and and it seems like, oh, she's going to kind of be looking out for him, and you do just kind of wonder like, okay, so is he gonna be okay? But yeah, and then you get through a lot of just, yeah, like, oh, who did it, it's a lot of the same shenanigans from the first one, but then finally we kind of get to this ending where they realize Chucky's alive, and then Kyle and Andy are on the run, and we land in the toy factory, which is just, what a set piece. It is thrilling to watch, even when they're gonna be okay. You know it. I actually kind of forgot like Kyle makes it out okay, but
Yeah.
but just the amount of like pain and suffering that even Chucky goes through, like in the factory, getting like arms put into him and stuff,
Yeah.
and just like it's rough.
It's I think it's definitely it lives up to the excitement of the stakes that it creates.
Yeah, and this is the first movie where like we really established that like Chucky's becoming human, and so like his body like is like human, and so it's like, so when he like rips his hand off or anything like that, it's like skin and bone and blood, and like
Yeah.
it's disgusting kind of, right?
Yeah.
It's like body horror on like a doll, like in a
Right.
weird way. So like as you're alluding to, like in the lore, the voodoo curse that Chucky uses to escape his human body that puts him in the doll, the longer he's in the doll, the more human he becomes, and that's how eventually he can be killed. So like if you shoot the doll in the heart, that will kill the Chucky being. And so like, yeah, you get this thing where over the course of the series, at least for part of the series, he's trying not to become human. He's trying to, or at least he's trying to put himself into a different body and not get stuck in this doll body. And it leads to this, again, weird ideas of like, just watching a doll get its arms pulled off is one thing, but then when you put these like skin and blood and stuff into it, it's like, oh, this is unsettling in ways that I didn't know I was going to explore.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. What'd you guys think of 2 overall, though? You like it?
I don't remember it too well, but I mean, 2 and 3 kind of blend a little bit, even though, like, as you mentioned, 3 is a little more bonkers. I'm like, 2 is the one with the toy factory, 3 is the one with the military academy. So
Yeah.
I think that'll be a next Halloween, maybe dive back in.
Get into that.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I feel like the series is very strong start. I feel like 2 is a step down from 1. I feel like 3 is a bigger step down, and then the staircase turns.
Should we just start kind of maybe pumping through these a little bit more? Because there's a
Yeah.
lot. I did want to mention a couple casting what ifs though for
do
this
it.
movie. So apparently, okay, so you had, her name was Jenny Agutter, who was cast as Joanne Simpson, which was the stepmom.
Mhm.
After Veronica Cartwright was considered. Garrett Graham, though, who was the stepdad, was almost Tim Matheson was considered, Jeffrey Jones, and Charles Grodin.
I'd love to see Grodin up in there.
Give me some Grodin anytime.
Yeah.
Grodin in this movie would have been such a different vibe.
I just want like the Beethoven style movie with him and Chucky.
Yeah.
That goddamn dog. I know he never says that goddamn dog in Beethoven. He just says that dog. But every time in my head, I just see that goddamn dog.
Yes, full Grodin, Clifford energy, but instead of it being Martin Short refusing to be a regular child, it's just Chucky.
Yeah. So great. But then we obviously had Christina Elise, who played Kyle, was also the other people considered were Christy Swanson and Shannon Doherty. And
Hey.
like those were very names of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like. So yeah, we mentioned this was made about 36 million off a $13 million budget.
Still doing well.
Okay.
But enough that it was greenlit for another sequel, Child's Play 3, which you mentioned is at a military academy. And this movie comes out August 30th, 1991. We have a new director. It is Jack Bender is his name, which is another great name.
Hardly knew her.
But yeah, I don't have a lot of memory of 3. So I'll kind of defer to you guys. What are your thoughts on it just overall? And maybe you just walk through it because it takes place in a military academy and he's just like trying to, like, he finds a new target, right? Chucky does.
Yeah, I don't. Is Andy is not in this one, or
Andy is in-
he is in
yeah.
this one. He's
Andy is-
going to the military academy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the story apparently goes that as they were creating the next steps of the story, they were like, we're kind of out of child in peril ideas. We'll age them up so that there's a new creativity to it. Tying back real quick to the idea of like the long-term trauma of this.
Yeah.
The trauma of Alex Vincent, the young actor who played Andy, hearing that Child's Play 3 was greenlit, presuming he was going to be in it again, and then finding out that he wasn't, and like dealing with that. Like, again, hit those docs if you want to hear him talk a little bit about that in a really adult, respectful way of like just expectations of a child actor, and how to make the best of what you got and the opportunities that you get. So I think that I respect that in Child's Play 3, they went a different direction. They're like, obviously, if we age him up and put him in this different situation, places where people have actual weapons and ways they can fight back, that can, I think, open it up to new possibilities. It's probably my least favorite of the movies, because it feels like the sadism of 2 that got amped up. 2 also kind of matched that with, there was still fun to it.
Sure.
And 3 to me isn't as fun. It just feels purely sadistic. And not that isn't, a tone in a different movie that I would be right there for, but in the Chucky franchise, especially where it goes after this,
Yeah.
to me it feels like an outlier for ways that I don't love.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of why it might be like the more forgotten version of it.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, a big punch up would be as if Major Payne was in this movie.
For sure.
That's all I have.
I mean, what movie wouldn't Damon Wayans improve? Right?
That's a fair point.
I was going to do a quote from Major Payne, then I realized I didn't have any.
I know. I feel like I've got like "Homie, don't play that." Like, in my head.
I was not allowed to watch it in my youth. I remember the TV commercials, and also I just never circled back on
It was a friend's house watch for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
But it was fun. It was fun. I was trying to look up who the actor was that ended up playing Andy. His name was Justin Whalen, who apparently was Jimmy Olsen on on Lois and Clark, which was with
That name sounds familiar.
I guess he was also in like Dungeons and Dragons, like the first one.
Oh,
that
the one with like
Marlon Wayans.
Yeah, there you go.
See, Ada Wayans. It doesn't always work. It depends which Wayans you
There's
get.
always a Wayans.
Oh yeah, he's been in a lot of different. He's been in like stuff.
Dungeons and Dragons was what I was thinking of.
Yeah. But yeah, nothing else that's really notable. The Deadpool, which I think was the Clint Eastwood movie, right?
Yeah, that's the one that has Jim Carrey in it, right? Or
I think
is
so.
Liam Neeson? I know one that has Jim Carrey, one has Liam Neeson, and they both have Jim Carrey and Liam Neeson.
It's funny because like I think where I'm going with this though too, and why I wanted to look up some of the cast in this is it doesn't have a very notable cast, whereas Bride of Chucky flips that script quite a bit. I mean, do we have a lot to say about 3, or we kind of just want to say, yeah, you know, it was what it was? And
I will say that as dark and sadistic as it is, the strength of that, the military exercise kills of replacing the like paintball, whatever, like gnarly, like super dark and gnarly. Again, when that series leans into its darkness, it finds something there.
Sure.
So I wouldn't want to diminish what it got right, which I think it still is. It's still good in this series. I just don't think that it lives up to the heights of the series.
It's not a skip for people who are going through.
Yeah.
You still throw it in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
I just want to know what that box office is on this one.
Yeah.
Budget again, $13 million. So they've got a number. This one made 20 million. So we're starting to see some diminishing returns. You can probably see not quite what 2 was going to be, right? So, and I think this is very natural for horror sequels, save Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Sure.
Where I think when you hit 3 in most of the series, you got to try something different. Like you got to do Season of the Witch, like Halloween, or you got to do Friday the 13th Part 3, where it's like, okay, we've established the Jason canon, and these are just going to be he's killing kids, and that's it. Or you got to try and up the ante, and I do feel like you're kind of saying this feels like it tried to do more of what 2 did, but try to do it differently, and it just didn't do it successfully.
Yeah.
But we have established who Chucky is at this point, and that it's just like he's a little stink.
Yeah.
Right? So we do get then a bit of a zigzag. So right now we had been going off like 3 movies in 4 years. 7-year hiatus before we finally get to Bride of Chucky. Child's Play 4, if you want to call it that. But this is where they really start, I think, getting self-aware. What is this franchise? What is this character that we have? How do we play this up a little bit more? Oh, here's a fun idea. What if we treated him like Frankenstein, right? And like he gets his own bride. And let's get a name actor to play the Bride of Frankenstein. Enter Jennifer Tilly, right?
Yeah.
And man, is she just like, she's so unique in the way she looks, the way she sounds, like that, like breathy, like voice that she has. Like it's unmistakable when she's on screen.
She has this like great balance of being like the hot sultry actor, but also being like one of the funniest like actors too, like this like equal parts, this hybrid, kind of like how Chucky is like also this equal parts of horror and comedy. You know, I'm always happy to see her in anything or hear her in anything.
Yeah. I think that it's a thing of like how many horror franchises, past that 3rd movie, like if you don't try something new, what are we doing?
You gotta start maybe being conversation with your lore and your kind of the meta. Like I think of like Scream 3.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that, you know, as far as any franchise goes, you know, Chucky makes that turn deliberately and clearly to the audience. I think that it's very clearly like, let's have some fun in this one. And I think that even like switching the name up at that point of the franchise, I feel like is that move of like, okay, we know what you like, and you like Chucky. We're just going to give you Chucky. We're not going to bother with the. I mean, that sounded a lot more offhanded than I meant. That we're not going to try to take this seriously in a way that we know it can't be. So let's lean into what we know it can be, which is fun and funny, and let's sync up that timing. Let's sync up that comic and horror timing in all the best ways.
Yeah.
Jennifer Tilly as Tiffany, incredible. And then as her character continues through different iterations, she's got that very specific voice, but there are little things that she does to it that are very fun, where like she makes her voice even smaller when she's in the doll, you know, like somehow it's even more closed in a way that like, I don't know how people have these. I mean, I guess it's why actors get paid what they do for doing what they do. And because I would have no concept of like, oh yeah, Tiffany doesn't have the same vocal cord capacity as Jennifer Tilly, and therefore that would affect the like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. I did have to note that, of course, she was also at this time now an Academy Award nominee. She
Yeah.
got nominated for Bullets Over Broadway in 1994. So that's what drew Don Mancini to her, it sounds like, is he was like very impressed with her work in there, wanting to get a name for this character, and she was choice number one, and they were able to get her in. Um, and he said that once we introduced Jennifer Tilly's character, that brought a certain comedic camp vibe to the franchise, which I kind of think is historically a hallmark of gay culture, referring to like the increasing use of LGBTQ plus characters in the later Chucky films and TV series is kind of how he framed it, which it is a little bit of that. She brings something different. It's not just like this machismo serial killer Chucky anymore,
Yeah.
right? He's got, you know, in the way the movie frames it, the old ball and chain, you know, and like he like in his end, Tiffany's like relationship is so toxic.
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
It's like a Joker Harley Quinn sort of.
Yes, it really is like the touchstone for that, all right, like, and then you just get, because I think we started getting away from like, let's stop trying to play with like the voodoo magic. Chucky's trying to find a body, which still is the goal of this movie. But like, let's get into who Charles Lee Ray was.
Yeah.
Right. And we try to learn more about him. It's like, oh, he was buried with this amulet. And it is such an interesting term, but this movie is a lot funnier and it's
Yeah.
a lot different. But also, and I don't know if they just kind of ran into this by accident. You get like Katherine Heigl is the freaking like
Yeah.
final girl, if you want to call her that.
Yeah. I so much of the casting of this franchise is fascinating to me. I
Yeah.
think so much of the way that, especially starting with Bride, this franchise is so happy to be like, no, it's us. And it's going to be like, what is our repertoire of players going to do next? And so you get people like a Katherine Heigl who steps in, or when Chris Sarandon was in the first one or whatever. There are people who you can still be like, oh, it's this person associated in this way. But ultimately it builds this little like self-insulated community of cast and crew and behind the scenes folks in a way that's like they made their own family, really starting with Bride. In a way that like I just every time I see them together in some capacity, it's like I want to be a part of that. Like I want to be Don Mancini's friend. I want to get adopted into that family. Like, so the inclusion of Jennifer Tilly as this like new direction to give both other folks and Chucky a new direction to explore, change up that tone in that different way. Yeah, super fun. The death of I'm jumping ahead. Sorry.
No, all good.
It's okay.
We'll come back.
I was just gonna say, directed by Ronnie Yu, which he made one of my most formidable movies ever, Freddy vs. Jason. And these movies, like, I'm sure he made other movies. I'm sure if I pull up his IMDb, he's been making movies this whole time.
Shawshank Redemption.
Although Frank Darabont, I think, wrote Dream Warriors.
Oh,
Right on.
Yeah. So
man. I mean,
it's there. It's all there.
We'll save it for a Nightmare on Elm Street. I feel like there's a lot of Shin DNA here.
For sure.
How this was all constructed.
But I just think this guy knows how to balance fun and horror, and especially that 90s, early 2000s, like kind of taking it in, but not making it pastiche almost. It's just like celebrates that time so well, even though it's happening at that time. I just love the way Freddy vs. Jason and Bride of Chucky feel and just the vibes of them.
It's like waiting in a line at a haunted attraction, right? Or haunted house. Like, you know, you're going in and you have like the music's blaring. It's like Rob Zombie or something. I mean, they literally have Rob Zombie in this movie, like Living Dead Girl. And I was like, I remember hearing that for the first time in this movie. I was like, that's a bop. And, you know, and then you get just like, it's a much different energy, like you're saying. It's fun, it's kind of like loose, even though it's still like a little disturbing. Chucky's very stitched together, like you see her like bring him back to life. And I don't know, it just it plays with so many tropes. I love that she's watching Bride of Frankenstein on TV, like obviously the most on the nose thing you could show, and a brilliant horror movie, Bride of Frankenstein.
Well, and the juxtaposition of the TV going into the bathtub while that's on. So like the bride comes to life as her life is taken, and that like, but again, like there's greater depth there than you would presume from The Bride of Chucky. Like, when
Yeah.
you just look, and when you look at the poster, when you hear the name, when you put it together, you may not presume that this kind of deeper thread could be going on, that there is a subtext to it in a fun way. That, yeah, it starts with these, like, early in the Child's Play franchise. It's like, what do you do when you're totally isolated and alone and have no means to defend yourself? Like, well, then what do you do if the other person in your relationship is in this situation where, like, you don't know how that's going? Like, maybe they're bringing you back to life just to get you on their side, or maybe they're gonna eventually turn on you too. Like, there's the way that Tiffany brings in this additional, like, threat in this way, both to the others around her, but also to Chucky, in terms of what that could mean for a vulnerability for him or not. Like, I think the inclusion of Tiffany is such a great thing for the franchise, and also is testing the waters, I think, for how weird we're about to get.
Yeah.
Because if you can't handle the weird Bride of Chucky, like, you're not going to enjoy Seed, Curse, Cult.
Right.
You might still enjoy the show, but it gets so weird so fast from here.
For sure. And I'll just step back to one thing. Having the Bride of Frankenstein on in the movie of Bride of Chucky is another one of my favorite horror movie tropes, is having another horror movie playing in your horror movie. Scream, Halloween, there's more, but I can't think of any right now. But like, those are the two that came to mind. I just love that cyclical nature.
Within Halloween, they're watching something on.
Yeah, they're watching
The
the
Thing.
thing.
For the Thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The Scream one with watching Halloween is the best, though, because it's Jamie Kennedy yelling, "No, Jamie, turn around," to Jamie Lee Curtis while Jamie Kennedy is about to be.
Yeah. Which, the best meta joke you could
So
almost
good.
have in that movie.
I was gonna say that's not an episode, but we already did it with the great Robbie McGee.
Yeah, it is. It's like we said all we need to really say about Scream. I don't have a lot of hope for the future, but we'll wait. We'll wait and see. If they bring back Matthew Lillard, I feel like I'm going to be very bittersweet on that whole.
Yeah, we love to see it, but how's that gonna work?
Like that feels like selling it out for good. So one thing I did want to point out or go back to, because I think we can maybe start just kind of moving to the end, because it is a very tumultuous relationship with Chucky and Tiffany, and this is the first time we see Chucky vulnerable in an emotional way more than just in a physical way. Right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, he's small, it's like you can kind of kick him and punt him and all that, but there is like the whole standoff when he's like doing like the body trade, right? It's like for Tiffany, for I can't remember what the lead guy's name is in this movie, but it's the time when Tiffany, I think, starts to realize too, she's like, oh, that's what true love is, or like real romance is, when she sees the two people who are like very happy to be together, and she just realizes like, oh, maybe this is a sour relationship. And it is something that I am curious to ask, because obviously I have a little bit more of pitfalls after this, or holes in the lexicon after this, but of whether we still see more of that perpetuated between Tiffany and Chucky, or if that is still just like more to this movie where we kind of see her kind of like start to turn on him more and more at the end, right?
Boy, you don't even know.
It is a wild relationship in ways that there's something that if we're okay jumping ahead movies.
Jump.
Yeah,
let's just
Okay.
jump.
So smash cut to, I think it's gotta be Cult of Chucky, where it's Nika in bed with Jennifer Tilly.
Yep, and that's Fiona Dourif, Brad Dourif's daughter.
Right. So Nika is the protagonist of is it not Seed, but Curse?
Yes,
that
he's
right?
the protagonist kind of for both of those.
Yeah.
Or of Curse and Cult.
And so Nika is played by Brad Dourif, the wife, the voice of Chucky's real life daughter, Fiona Dourif. So again, family, right? Like the family of this cast and crew. So at this point in the series, the series of movies, Nika's body has been possessed by the spirit of Chucky. So Fiona Dourif is possessed by Brad Dourif while engaging in sexual relations with Jennifer Tilly, the actress who has been haunted or who has been possessed by the spirit of Tiffany, played by Jennifer Tilly.
Right.
So the like meta layers of just getting it out is hard enough to explain that. So the dynamics of relationships go way beyond just Tiffany questioning what real love is in this bride situation. That one stays a little bit more almost like classic Universal Monster in terms of where is her loyalty in this way? Whereas later they're just like, what if everyone's fucking everyone? And what if this person's in this body and this body is in this body? And what if this body likes to get in this body too? You know, like it gets so out of hand in very, very fun ways.
Yeah, I'll have to do just some minor corrections because I think you actually are pulling from the TV series with their relationship, because like one of the last scenes of Cult is Nika being possessed, walking out, kissing Jennifer Tilly, and they're like, "Oh, this is different," and then that's kind of where the movie ends.
That may have been in the series then.
So, but I'm interested to dive into that because I think that's obviously the long epilogue of the movie. You know, so, but just to put a wrap on Bride real quick. So this movie had a budget of $25 million. They doubled what they were doing, made $50 million. So this is now the highest grossing film. So October 16th, 1998, it came out. And yeah, it smashed all the previous Chucks. I mean, Chucky's back is what this was saying, right? Like,
hell yeah.
Might have been the tagline for the movie.
One thing we did not talk about either was John Ritter plays a small part in this.
Yes.
And I thought he was going to be such a bigger part, but it was totally like a Drew Barrymore type thing. Right?
Yeah,
1,000%.
love it.
Yeah.
And then Jason Ritter's in Freddy vs. Jason.
Date.
Well, I mean, as long as we're talking about bonkers casting stuff, I mean, there's a dude who dies in Curse who's in Cult as a totally different character. Like I think he plays a cop. He gets his throat slit.
Yes.
And then he's just like one of the leads in as a totally different thing. So yeah, I love, look, horror is great for those cameos of like, oh, before this person was this person, they were this. And then sometimes you get the like, yeah, but bring in Ritter, because like if we can get Ritter,
hell yeah,
get Ritter.
I just love that John Ritter was, and it's so funny because I feel like we've been watching a lot of like late 90s, early aughts, like just programming, like in general, or media in general. Like he pops up in an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He pops up in an episode of King of the Hill. Like I did not realize how game John Ritter was to just kind of do whatever. He was like, if there's an interesting project, sign me up. I'll come in. I'll do an episode, or I'll do 2 episodes, whatever, you know, and fun. And I mean, he just brings it every freaking time. Like, what a loss. It just you think about the work that he did over his life, and just to even do a small bit in this movie, and it's like he's a nobody. It's not nobody of consequence, but it's still fun to see him get like shot with nails in this movie.
Always love to see him in the It miniseries too.
Oh, that's right. See, he's the older.
He's the Ben Hanscom, the bigger kid.
Yes, that's right. Oh my God, I almost forgot about that. Game for anything. Seed of Chucky was 2004, so we went another 6 years without a sequel. But different type movie. So now we had the tease at the end of Bride of Chucky that. So we see doll sex, which we completely glossed over doll sex in the first one. He's like, technically, I'm anatomically correct, Tiff.
There's the moment of her being like, asking if he's going to wear a rubber. And he's like, I'm made of rubber.
And yet, impregnates her with the seed of Chucky.
The first Chucky I saw in theaters that I definitely snuck into with my best friend and his girlfriend at the time. She was not thrilled with seeing Seed of Chucky because, like, first of all, I don't think she wanted to go in the first place. And then Seed of Chucky is not just like a horror. Like, she's probably thinking, oh, we're going to go see a horror movie.
Yeah. It is not. It is not that at all.
It is like a black comedy, I would call it.
Yeah. Unbelievable. I tried to read, guys, so I've never seen this movie. I've seen bits and pieces of this on TV. I clearly didn't remember what happened because I was reading the plot summary on this. I sent Fred a GIF yesterday. I said, I read the plot summaries for Seed of Chucky and Curse of Chucky. And I did like the meme, you know, the guy like shaking his head like, what the hell? can we just dive right into the Glenn Glenda of it all? And
Absolutely.
that it's voiced by Billy Boyd Pippin.
That's correct. A reuniting of the Lord of the Rings universe because Brad Dourif is Wormtongue.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So bringing that together. So yeah, so Chucky and Tiffany have a baby, Glenn, but Glenn has two spirits, and Glenn is a pacifist, and Glenda is a psychopath.
Sorry, can I just clarify?
Yeah.
Is it Glenda or Galenda?
I
That's a wicked joke.
I
I'm not a wicked joke like Adam Sandler. It's like it's a joke about Wicked, the musical. Glinda is Galinda for.
see. I was leaning into the full weight of this conversation, whereas you were defying gravity to make it.
Yeah. I'd asked you to leave, but this is your house. No, it was good. It was good. I give you props.
I'm there. Glenda.
Like, I know you're just trying to get popularity points on this one.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna be popular.
That was that was all I had.
All right, guys. I know. You're all loathing, and but we're back to it. Okay, Glenn and Glenda. Let's talk it.
I've been holding off on watching part 1 until part 2 is out so I can watch it all together as one project. So I understand some of the general notes about it, but I'm not fully versed in the depths of it. So I'd appreciate it if we could keep spoilers out of it.
If it's spoiling much, it's just song titles. But
Yeah.
all right, go ahead.
Yeah, so this Glenda situation again, like it's two spirits in the one body, and it introduces this topic of like what is our identity, right? Like what is our gender identity? There's a moment in it where it's not taking itself very seriously. Like there are times when it's a little bit like almost like Willem Dafoe in Boondock Saints, where it's like it almost feels like regressive, but it's so fun that it's like I don't know what to do. But again, with this is Don Mancini, and again, like dude he's a gay man, and certainly is part of the cultural conversations. And so I trust the direction he's taking when he goes this way. That said, it's wild. Like it is wild to go from 10, 15 years ago when the series first started, like a spooky toy brought to life with a voodoo curse, to now like, okay, well, how do you feel about the idea of being born into a body where you don't feel like you belong there? And like like it's wild the levels of subtext that this has just accumulated as it's gone on.
Yeah.
And how that became its identity. Like there's a lot of like the Babadook recently has been something that I've according to internet culture is big in the gay community as
Yes.
like a thing. Chucky was that first in my understanding, based on like reading more about this series.
Oh,
from, like,
interesting.
yeah, of this idea of like the different, like being in a body that's not yours, and so exploring this thing in the way that they did, especially with the Glenn and Glenda stuff. I think it's a really interesting. It is the least serious way you can deal with something that's kind of serious, right? Like that's a big question to try to answer in a movie where dolls are killing people.
It's just kind of unbelievable that they would even attempt something like that, like in a sequel like that, and jump right into this story and then you have two different things, which I was just kind of reading too. Apparently, it's inspired by a cult classic called Glenn or Glenda, which was an Ed Wood movie. Who Ed Wood was, did he just dress in drag, or was he actually like...
He dressed in drag, and because at least I'm going off the movie Ed Wood. He had a wife. I don't think in there's any that he's I think he just likes women, but he dresses in drag.
Interesting. Okay. So, I mean, I guess obviously there's layers and layers of text there that you can even dive into, but then obviously you're talking about, something big with, God, I mean, this is even starting to make me think about, I saw the TV Glow, which I saw that, but man, another movie about like
Incredible
being in the wrong body, and like all about like using horror as sort of like that vehicle for using like that metaphor, and just, it's so interesting. I was like, wow, I'm mind blown.
Well,
but
yeah, I mean, horror lives in like a counterculture space, right? Like it lives outside of the quote normal expectations that we have, and so the again, the can't praise these docs that I watched enough. I think it's Jon Waters talking about, the gay community being drawn to horror for different reasons, but
Yeah.
to bring this back around, like for my improv dudes here, like almost a herald when you consider the idea of like the first scene, which was cut from Child's Play, has Chris Sarandon in drag, to try to catch Chucky. To like all the way years later, we're having these conversations about gender identity as the tone and culture has shifted over this time, to get into the point where in the Chucky series, Jake, protagonist, is dealing with his own sexual identity, has a literal moment with Chucky of being like, Jake is like, I don't really know how I'm supposed to feel right now. And Chucky's like, don't worry about it. I got a kid that's gender fluid. And he's like, and Jake is like, and you're okay with that? And Chucky goes, I'm not a monster, which is a very funny thing because it is both a comment on, supporting the trans community.
Yeah.
But also Chucky's a little manipulator. He's a little rascal. So you got to, it's both sides of it. So I think Don Mancini does an incredible job going back beyond Seed, but especially in Seed, of just being like, we're going to start really talking about this. And if you want to be here for the conversation, you can. And if you just want to be here for the silly puppets and the kills, we got you there too. But if you listen a little bit deeper, there's more here.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, it's transformative. It just sounds like in the way it's approaching. I'm just very curious. Like, were you guys even aware of that? I mean, obviously you being a little bit older, I think you're more clued into that, but like you've seen this in theaters. Were you even like up to?
Not at that time, but definitely later. Like I think camp horror and like gay stories have definitely been linked, and so I, especially going back to these, you can really see it, and I really feel like it kind of always felt like Don Mancini is getting to inject the ideas and the things he wants to talk about as the series goes on more and more. And it's just the steady growth of it from the Child's Play all the way up through these. And especially in the series, he's literally just doing what he wants to talk about in this show and do the things, do the tones, all the stuff he wants to do.
Man, very fascinating. Which, I mean, it's cool though. I mean, it's a cool way to take this franchise in continuously new direction. So, I mean, and then basically the whole idea is that they're kind of trying all to find bodies again, and we are introduced to the meta commentary of Jennifer Tilly, the character in this, who is not Tiff.
Yeah, Tiffany and Jennifer Tilly being separate entities is an incredible moment of meta text, bringing this all together. The ways that Jennifer Tilly is ridiculed through this series, both as herself and as someone else commenting about her, like the level of ego that Jennifer Tilly must have, it must be below the floor, because I cannot imagine anyone else in that role being willing to be like, oh gosh, we're like in the movie at some point, I feel like they're making fun of her for being in a Chucky movie. Like it's like, what are they going to cast Jennifer Tilly in a Chucky movie? Like that kind of thing. Like it's bonkers. Everyone is so game for all of these things that they do. Like everyone is so committed to this bigger thing going on that sees beyond just the puppets, right? Like I feel like that commitment comes from someone like Don Mancini being like, yo, like this is the vision that I have and that I've been running with for this many years. So get on now. Let's go. This is fun.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it is the seed was at the, like you said, at the start, even beyond the whole like Chris Sarandon and drag thing. It's the idea that somebody is being put into a body that is not their own, and they are trying to find their way into a new identity, right? That's literally the whole thesis for the series. This is the driving thing of Chucky, of trying to do this, right? And it's like, what a wild thought. Again, going back to I Saw the TV Glow, like that's kind of the whole driving force of that movie too, of like, or it's just the fight of like, is this real or is this something I want? And you just look at that and it's like, it completely reframes what Chucky Child's Play is all about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, pretty crazy. So yeah, like I said, I have very little memory of this. What did you guys think of the movie overall?
It's grown from me. At the time, I was like, this is maybe a little too silly, but I did enjoy some of it. But I think like now, I think it's kind of like, I think it's one of the better ones of the series.
Sure.
Yeah, for me, there's like a thing of like, one Child's Play 1 is probably the best movie in the series to me. And then it kind of drips down, and then it's at 4, it's at Bride that it starts picking back up again, because even though I think Bride is arguably a better movie than Seed, I think Seed is where it's just like, okay, we're doing this for us. And that's the kind of art that I find myself engaging with the most. I want to see that, what are the jokes that make the other comedians laugh? What are the songs that make other musicians stop and go like, yeah, but have you heard this guy? Like, this is the guy that made me want to do the things that I can do. And Seed is that for me, of like, okay, well, you trust us as artists. Here we go. So even though it's not necessarily top of my rewatch or recommendation list, I have great respect for it, and for where it goes. I think Seed is the literal ramp that this series is jumping off.
And first one directed by Don Mancini. So
There you go.
and the rest of them, I think, so then everything was directed from him here on out, it looks like.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if he does every single episode of the show, but I know his name is a lot of them.
Yeah, when they get to the TV show, he wrote and directed at least the first episode. He was the creative presence throughout the series, as far as I know. But in TV, no one ever writes and directs all of the things. But yeah, I mean, again, that's
Except David Lynch and
Twin
Peaks.
fair.
Which, thank God.
Cheers to David Lynch.
I wish David Lynch was in Seed of Chucky. I know we get John Waters, but I think I would have loved some Lynch in there.
Fair.
I'm not trying to get you to do it, but
No. Off for now.
well, then I got excited. Now I'm upset, but it's fine. We can move on.
Aren't you happy I'm giving you a little shookster?
It's always fun to say Andy.
Andy. Where's Durr from? That's what I want to know.
Because I don't think that's his voice generally, but he does kind of sound like that. I don't know.
Huntington, West Virginia.
Okay.
His birthplace. Not what I would have.
No.
I guess he does have a little bit of Southern flair. You hear that a lot more in Deadwood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think the Charles Lee Ray character has more like New York kind of East Coast hardened criminal vibes, almost like you take like a transatlantic accent and like flatten it a little bit. Like there's almost levels of like, meh.
Yeah.
Like there's almost like a vaudevillian performance to how Chucky is.
And the laugh. The
Yeah. Oh, that laugh.
I'm not even
is
going to
so
attempt
good.
it.
No,
That's great.
that's a hard one.
Yeah.
He has Chucky's also very much like that classic gangster actor.
Yeah.
Can't think of his name, but
Peter Lorre.
Cagney.
James
yeah,
Cagney.
There's a lot of like I feel Cagney and
Cagney.
like I think Charles Lee Ray grew up watching a lot of Cagney and just jumping up and down at the TV when he was little.
Yeah.
So, Seed of Chucky was back to a budget of about 15 million. Not a lot for that. Ended up making though like $30 million. So,
And I helped.
yeah, Fred was one of the people that contributed.
Being two unwilling participants.
Yeah, people who were just not on board.
I want to say real quick, one of my standout things for Seed.
25 million was the box office, but still off of like 13, 12 million.
Yeah. I love Redman's in this movie, and Jennifer Tilly and Redman kind of have I'm just gonna call it general relationship, although there's stuff going on there, and she constantly calls him Mr. Redman.
Apparently, that role was going to be, or was offered to Quentin Tarantino, and it was going to be a Tarantino movie that she was on.
Wow.
And he declined, though, to be in the movie, which
They probably wanted to make like a foot joke or something.
I was gonna say there were insufficient feet. The problem is that Chucky is a puppet, and so therefore the feet come secondary. Quentin obviously needs feet first.
I just need more feet in this movie. I don't know what you're doing out here, Don.
Hey.
Oh my God, the two of those back and forth would be intolerable. It's just like watching those two monologue at each other. Like, I guess if it's actually if it's actually like the puppet of Chucky, that would be more. But just hearing those voices back and forth would, oh God,
Make your brain melt.
that'd be a lot.
Yeah. Let's talk a little more, and maybe we can kind of pull in just Curse and Cult together.
Yeah,
They
they're kind of
definitely
one
feel-
piece.
Yep.
and maybe just go right into the TV series because we're starting to run a little long here. But I
I
want
had a feeling. I'm afraid to even look at that clock.
This is definitely, I feel like, the crux of where this is all leading, right? Because Curse definitely does a little bit of a soft reset of sorts because we don't even have Tiff or Glenda in this one, right?
Not this one. No, I don't think this one at all. This one does kind of like you can watch it and think, oh, is this just a reboot of Child's Play or Chucky?
Sure.
And then it kind of all comes back. Like I was telling Tom, it's kind of like you're like, look, we're chilling out, we're stripping it down, lower budget. This is traditional horror.
Bottle
Just
episode.
kidding.
Yeah. These are the Curse and Cult are the direct to video, straight up like, budgets are much less than they could be.
$5 million for Curse of Chucky.
There it is. Bottle episode is that joke of like when everything happens in a TV show in one place. And so there's some amount of that of like, we'll make the location smaller so we can really vamp up the excitement within it. And again, I think that this feels like playing to me. This feels like child's play. Of just like, look, we've established the goodwill. If you're here for the first time, welcome. And if you're here because you've seen the other 4 or 5 movies ahead of this, which is probably why you're here, like, we're going to try to give you what you like and take that also somewhere that you haven't seen before. Like, it feels almost like fan fiction to me. And I mean that as a compliment.
Sure.
Yep.
Because the whole idea here is that, like, so we've introduced like a new family, right? And then we have Mika for the first time, who we find out is like Charles Lee Ray's potentially like love child. Is that right?
Spoiler.
We can spoil these. I think, right? I don't know. You think we should keep it?
I was deflecting because I do not recall.
So I know a little bit. It's kind of a Rogue One situation with Curse, where Charles Lee Ray is like a friend in quotes of the family of the father who is dead somehow. I wonder why. And you see the funeral and Charles Lee Ray is kind of checking out the mom, and he like kidnaps her and has her in like a basement somewhere. And then it leads into like the Rogue One of the police coming down and him running out into the toy store. So she is in the belly of the mom at that time that she's kidnapped and kind of prisoner of Charles Lee Ray. But something a little dark is she's in a wheelchair and he was going to kill the mom before the police showed up. And that's kind of, without getting into it, why she's in a wheelchair. So it leads into the general story of it all. But at first it seems like you said, a bottle episode, this has nothing to do with it. But then it's like, oh, this kind of has everything to do with it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You get Brad Dourif in like makeup to make him look younger. Kind of looks good. He looks younger than when he does in Lord of the Rings. But I mean, Warm Tongue kind of just has that old face. I think there's also, I watched this today, so I'm like fired up. I do love in this, the one thing also, I know we're trying to get through these, is there is that great scene where Chucky poisons one soup or one chili out of all 6. And there's this great almost like sketch comedy scene where like each like one person like, ooh, and then it'll be something completely unrelated. And it's like that building of the tension heightening up until like, I think the priest is just driving home who's there because of the mom's death and just like crashes and dies and head splits open. Like, so it has some great moments, but I feel like it's not even about that. It's literally just like, we're building the train tracks to what I actually want to do. It's kind of like I'm sneaking you into the grand plan.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very Rogue One type idea.
Exactly.
It's a really great analogy to draw there.
Thank you.
Well, especially just love that. Yeah, we get like the beginning of Child's Play 1, like in the beginning of this movie is what it sounds like.
And it's also very, I'm going to say it, Nightmare on Elm Street, when like Nightmare on Elm Street, like 5, I think, there is kind of like backstory with young Freddy, or a live Freddy interacting with the main character at a younger age.
Yeah.
You have some of this and that as well. They're even shot similar.
So it sounded like they were like kind of on the edge of whether this wanted to be a remake or whether it wanted to be a sequel, and so they kind of tried to have it both ways, which I think is kind of what you guys were saying.
That's what it feels
right?
like when you watch it.
But yeah, so okay, one thing we've kind of glossed over, I don't know if we can get too deep into the depths because we've spent a lot of time talking, which I think we've spent time talking about the right things with the franchise
Solid
so
time.
far.
Yeah.
They have come up with ridiculous ways upon ridiculous ways to keep continuously reviving Chucky in each one of these movies. At the end of every movie, he is like chopped to bits. He's melted down. He is like deader than dead.
Yeah.
And yet somehow it's like, well, the soul got transferred to this new doll, or the soul got, or he got stitched back together, and then voodoo magic brought him back again. And then it's just kind of ridiculous. And then like we get to this movie where they really start playing with this lore a little bit, right? Of like what this voodoo magic can do. And like, didn't we have like Jennifer Tilly? So you said she got the character of the actress of Jennifer Tilly got possessed by the character Tiffany, played by Jennifer Tilly.
Yes.
And then there's also Glenn and Glenda become two individuals, like two children.
That's like the end of Seed.
Yes.
Okay. And then in this movie, we don't see any of those characters.
In this movie, no. Well, you see Tiffany at the end.
Okay.
Or, yeah, Tiffany. Jennifer Tilly Tiffany.
Got it. Jennifer Tiffany.
Jennifer Tilly.
Yeah, Jennifer Tiffany.
Yeah. So this is, I think what's super fun about it is that it's that moment of like, again, if you've been following the franchise along the way, you get into this one and it's like, we built so much. Where I wonder where that's going to come back around, and where it really comes back around is at the end and going into cult.
Okay.
Of like, okay, now this is where it turns into like, what if there were a bunch of Chuckies? And like, what if we get into like all those things that you would considered could be the spin-offs or the extensions from there in that way.
Right.
So I love that Curse exists both as like almost a soft reboot, to get you like back caught up on like, this is what the lore is at this point. Cause like it was this in Child's Play 1, and then we had to bend it a little bit for 2, and then I had to bend it back this other way, and like, okay, here's the new Bible of what this is. This is the New Testament of Chucky.
Sure.
And here, moving forward from here, let's go bonkers. Yeah.
And Cult, I'm just gonna call it, has the great line where like Tiffany says something and Chucky's like, "Who you now, Hannibal Lecter?" And he's like, "It's a shame they canceled that TV show." And I'm just like, now we're cooking.
Fourth wall has fully been demolished.
Yeah, and now the rest of the time through Cult, through the TV show, we're just gonna be doing the wildest shit.
Yeah. Because then, so at the end of Curse, Andy gets mailed Chucky, right? Like the fully adult, same actor, Andy. What's his name?
Alex Vincent.
Alex Vincent. And shoots Chucky with a shotgun.
Hell yeah.
So get that right away. And then that's kind of where Cult picks up. We have Nika in like the asylum, who's been institutionalized because she basically took the rap for all of Chucky's like murders and stuff in the previous movie. And so this is Fiona Dourif, who, yeah, when you look at her at the right angle, you're like, that's Brad Dourif's daughter for sure.
And her, when she does that walk, there's something about like her hands in the pockets when she's wearing the coat. Like it's certainly deliberate, but she really leans into it in these incredible ways. I think that she's great in the series because when you first meet her, there's no reason you would presume that there is that connection.
Right.
And then when it's time for her to start leaning into it, it's like, oh man, this is awesome. This is full like trapdoor out from underneath you. It's not even like they have to get you to the place where that goes first. Like,
Yeah.
he's so great at that.
In the show, she's really doing the Chucky voice. Like in Cult, she's doing like, she's embodying Chucky.
Yes.
But by the time it gets to the TV show, she's doing the voice like this. And it's
It feels like it takes a while to really like fully come through her in a way of like that transformation wouldn't be immediate. Like it takes a while to wear down those vocal cords and really get into the full sauce of that.
So here's where I got lost though.
Yeah.
How in the world is he able to possess multiple dolls?
Yeah, who is cutting the grass on The Walking Dead?
That's a good point.
Sorry, this is one of those things.
That's good.
This is one of those things of like you're not wrong asking that question, and also kind of who cares? You know, like there's
for sure.
I will confess that it's been long enough that I don't even remember. I don't even remember if they explained how it happened, how he could slice his soul in the different ways. I don't know if it's related to the Glenn and Glenda split, if that was maybe planting the seed of how that could happen in that way.
Then there'd be kind of like a multiplicity sort of situation. I feel.
Sure.
I've watched both of these today, and,
Yeah.
and I can't tell you how there's multiple ones.
I just assume this is like a Voldemort situation where it's like he's able to split his soul into like multiple things. You get like these more denigrated versions of himself and all the different iterations, and that's how it works.
I just always think that It's Always Sunny thing, the Patty's Bucks, where it's like it just keeps circling through. He just keeps it, and that's me whenever I think about horror movie logic. I'm like,
Yeah.
you just got to keep it moving. You can't go back. Can't go back.
Bruce Willis in Looper, sitting in the booth with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and they're trying to figure out. Bruce Willis is the older version of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's been sent to the past to confront. And it's the thing of like Joseph Gordon-Levitt being like, so how does the? And he's like, don't think about it. Like you're not going to help anything. Don't bother thinking about it. Just feel it.
Whole
Like
thing
that kind of.
fries your egg like a brain. Or fries your brain like an egg.
He's like, I can
Quote
sit
Jeff
here with
Daniels.
draws and everything and show you how this all works, but let's do what we're doing.
Just do the thing. Yeah.
That's a very Ryan Johnson thing that just kind of bypassed the logic of it all. Of course, we can warp speed into another ship. It's fine.
I mean, but it's that thing too of like, I don't know. I'm gonna think about that after, but in the moment, what am I gonna feel? And it's the Ryan Johnson, I think, is an incredible writer and director who has that like in as many projects of his that I love. There are the things of like, yeah, maybe if I step back and think about it, I might have a different reaction. But at the same time, like, I don't care because in that moment it felt awesome.
Yeah,
I had felt,
for sure.
And also there's so many things going on in his stuff that's well beyond what I'm aware of, like the Rothko that's upside down in Glass Onion. Anyway, yeah, brilliant. Ryan Johnson, adopt me as well.
Yeah.
Also, I should call out how much I love my mother. I don't need to be adopted. I love my mother. I don't need her getting jealous if she's still listening. 2 hours in? How late?
Yeah,
we're 2 hours deep. Okay.
We're probably good.
We'll be light on the TV show, just also because I'm going to admit I have not watched the last season of the TV show. I think there's 3 or 4.
I believe it's 3.
There's 3. I've watched the
Season.
first 2.
Yeah. So we had, Cult and Curse of Chucky. It was 2013, and then 2017 was the second movie. We land with Chucky. Reveal is like he has multiple dolls that he's possessed. He possesses Nika at the end. He walks off. He gets in the car with Jennifer Tilly. Andy is locked inside the asylum. He came to confront Chucky, and killed one of them, and then he's just stuck in there. So that's where we leave in the series, which came out in 2019.
I think that's right.
Sounds right.
Yep, and ran for 3 seasons to 2021. So, thoughts on the TV series, or what do we got to say about the series? Tell me all about it, you guys.
The show is fun. The show is how do we keep this going? And the way we keep it going is Chucky appears in a new place, gets picked up by a new owner, a young man named Jake, who's on his own journey of discovering who he is. And things get weird from there in the perfect way that the franchise has all the way through. Bring back things that we love about it, bring back characters we love about it. It certainly rewards you if you're familiar with the whole scape of all the movies. Doesn't necessarily punish you if you're not, I don't think. But it's funky new directions. As long as we're going, we've pretty much spoilers all the way through.
Oh yeah,
So,
just
Maybe save the last season for me.
what I'll tell you this is that if there's first of all, I'd like to call out Devon Sawa shows up in the show.
Oh.
And ever since Little Giants in my youth, Devon Sawa has been my starring quarterback. So great to see him come back. Some great in jokes where his character maybe meets its fate, and then maybe he comes back around, and maybe a character calls out the fact that, boy, he sure looks a lot like that other guy.
He comes back as a different character, which is great. I do love to see late period Devon Sawa and stuff.
Twice.
Yes.
And
go ahead.
Yeah. And I'll say, I'm going to save my favorite thing. Oh boy, I think it's the last words that Chucky says on the show. I'll save for my closing words
Okay.
of the podcast.
I just have two things I want to say.
Yeah.
One, I think the main character of the TV show is very much like a Don Mancini stand-in with
Yes.
the background and what he's going through, and it's very interesting that he's putting himself fully into the show at this point instead of just having to sprinkle it. Now he's like, this is his show, kind of about him. It feels like.
Yeah.
The other thing I am gonna spoil and talk about, I know I'm like, don't spoil for me, but I'm gonna spoil what I want to spoil.
Do it.
There is a great episode that is a Bound reunion. And have you seen the movie The Wachowski Siblings Bound?
No.
With Gina Gershon, Jennifer Tilly, and Joey Pants. There is a murder mystery, like 2-part episode, and Glenn and Glenda are in it as well. That is my favorite thing about the TV show so far, because it's got the actors playing themselves in these like heightened ways. So you have Joey Pants just going ham, Gina Gershon going ham, and you also bring in Megan Tilly, I believe, or I think
it's Meg Tilly.
who I just know from Psycho 2. And so that whole scene, those episodes, and I'm pretty sure Don Mancini had to have directed those episodes, are what for me made the show great so far.
Wonderful. I will say that I feel like the place that the show ends is I wish that show was still on the air. I wish it was still going. And also the way it ends, I quite enjoyed.
Nice.
I quite enjoyed it. And in fact, are you okay with like
No, mild things are fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
A plot overview of season 3. What if Chucky ended up in the White House?
Oh my God.
Kind of feels like he already has.
That's
You know
the
what
thing I
I'm
was gonna-
saying?
That's the thing we don't need to get more political than we've already been by just supporting communities. But yeah, there's part of me now that like now with the current goings on in the political landscape of this, it'd be interesting to watch it again now. It'd be interesting to watch it again with this vision of like, yeah, think the tone is different all the way around. I wonder how that would affect it. It'd be interesting.
Interesting. So, so the whole idea is it's just like they're just going like balls to the wall. A lot of big ideas, whatever they want to do with Chucky or anything else, they're just kind of going for it in this show. And so he finds a new owner, and it's just like there's multiple iterations. We have Fiona Durf doing her best dad impression, and I kind of have the crux of this all.
Well, multiple iterations, but also like prime Chucky. Like there's still Chucky.
Okay.
So like the series doesn't deal as much with the like, what if there are other ones out in the thing? Like it's less concerned with that and more concerned about continuing. What does this presence look like? You know, we saw what it looks like when Chucky's whispering in the ear of a kid in 1988. What if it's a teenager who's kind of finding his life in the 2010s?
Sure.
You know, like what does that look like? Modernizing in some ways, and also again very true to the roots of what it is as a franchise.
Good. Okay. I mean, it certainly sounds fascinating. It's something I do want to check out. I was very sad. I just kind of ran out of time. A lot going on.
Yeah.
But I was happy at least to get back into a couple of the movies. Because, I mean, it's an enduring character. It's very fun. But I think we might need to show me the franchise, guys. And I'm going to ask you guys to show me the franchise here. As we talk about, now that the show has been canceled for 4 years at this point, what could we have done differently, or what could still come out of this? Another sequel? Another re-up of the show? Something crazy?
Another soda?
Another soda?
I'm gonna let our awesome guest take it, because it sounded like you had something cooking.
I was thinking, first of all, as like, you know, I'm not the best video game guy, but I think there's so much bonkers stuff in the Chucky lore. Like any version of a Chucky video game, I imagine it'd be fun. Whether you are running from Chucky or you get to be Chucky, I think would be a good time. The thing that now we talk about like the idea of like crossovers, right? Like, so we've seen there was the Child's Play reboot that happened in 2009. No, later than that, 2015, 16.
Something like around there, yeah.
Somewhere in there. I have not seen it. I have a lot of respect for the people in the movie, but I have Chucky is Chucky to me, and that's separate. But so that one I think went AI. Like it was like an AI Chucky, which is kind of like the Megan thing that we've seen as well. So like Megan and Chucky on a crash course was something that spoiler, you would put in the notes of like something you were thinking of. I think a more broken idea of that.
Okay.
Because there's this other movie where toys come to life and this guy named Andy. And so I feel like Chucky in the Toy Story universe would be wild. Now, what does that do in the same way of like, you know, there's a quick shot of like is it the West Wing of the Beast's castle with all the broken furniture? So like when that curse lifts, like, is that all corpses? I don't know. So all the toys, sorry to drop that and move on, but
Boy.
all the toys in Andy's room are how did they get to be, were they born toys? Are these reincarnated in some capacity that have just come to peace with who they're like? When did Woody become Woody? And what if Chucky shows up and goes like, you know, I saw what you did to Sid. We don't have to put up with this. We can take over. Like I feel like that'd be the direction that I'd like to see it go. That feels like a more exciting turn to me.
Yeah.
Than
I appreciate your vision, John. I don't think Tim Allen will be on board with Don Mancini's politics.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll be able to save some time because that's definitely what I had in the chamber. I will comment and say if you ever did want to run around as Chucky and murder people, you can play a game called Dead by Daylight, a game that I really enjoy. I'm always talking about on this podcast, and they do like you can kind of, you know, for a fee buy different killers.
Sure.
I did purchase Chucky, of course, and he is one of my Chucky and the Xenomorph are my two go-tos when I play that game.
Is it like an Odd Job in GoldenEye situation where like because Chucky is short, like the camera view is from a lower? Is it first person? Is it not?
It is third person, but no. When you're the killer, that's the thing about Dead by Daylight. When you're a person, it's third person. When you're a killer, it's first person. So the perspective is off. But yeah, you are a little lower, and you have a little bit of a sneak thing, and it is pretty great, especially when you see someone, because you drag people and put them on hooks in Dead by Daylight. Seeing someone drag Chucky, that is a game I would recommend as a horror person. You check out. It's very fun.
Okay.
Yeah. I like it. I've definitely been meaning to check out Dead by Daylight. It's on a long list of video games to play right now. The ideas, yeah, they're very good. I was curious about one sequel because I do feel like, and this is really my only comment I have to make now, because I know that I don't know how the series ended. Maybe you have something more to say about the ending of the series, but it feels like it would be great to do one kind of like last curtain call for Brad Dourif, because he's not getting any younger. You know, I mean, he's like 75, I think.
I think he's technically retired from acting. He said other than Chucky.
Yeah.
And now the show's over, so I don't know if that means he's completely retired, but that would be the one thing he would come back for.
Yeah, it would be great to just not to put a bookend necessarily on Chucky, Child's Play, all that, but just to at least maybe give him like one last chance to be like, hey, this was fun.
Yeah.
Glad I got to do this. Because I don't feel like Robert Englund ever quite got that with Freddy.
Yeah.
I don't feel like, well, I guess Nick Castle did get that whole, wasn't he?
Well, Nick Castle is playing, he gets to be Michael Myers again because they're doing the video game and he's doing the mocap for it.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? I didn't even know that. I know he's got a couple of quick cameos in the new trilogy. He's like the drunken old guy in the town.
Oh, he was not he was not Michael Myers though in David Gordon Green's version.
No, I think he was used for one or two stand-in shots, and I know that there's at least one cameo where his face is visible and he gets like right into the camera and he's like, ah! He's like an old town drunk or something like that.
Oh,
Which is probably the third one. He's probably the drunk in. I'm guessing. I love that third.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later. That's for the Halloween episode.
You're talking about Season of the Witch. Well, Halloween was intended to be an anthology, so Season of the Witch wasn't even okay.
I love Season of the Witch too.
I've actually never seen it. Never seen it. I think it's time though. I think it's gotten enough of a reclamation that I'm like,
Sure.
we can go for it. Anything else?
I've got my sign off line ready, and I'm not sure if it's the literal last words of Chucky in the show, but it's pretty close to it, if not. And so I'm going to save that for the very end. But I feel like, look, the reality is, if we're going to talk any more about Chucky in this franchise, then we've got another several hours to do, because this is surface level for something with this many movies, this much lore, this much change, and this much consistency as well.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, for like, I know we don't have a lot of time, but power rankings.
Ooh.
I am just kind of curious to hear John's top three.
Yeah. It's top three
Movies.
Oh.
Top three.
I know,
movies.
like we usually try to avoid just doing the straight arrow thing, but I would just like to hear your.
I would too, actually.
and I can drum up mine as well, and you can do it with what you've seen.
Sure.
Obviously.
I can absolutely share it. Go for it.
Oh, okay. And we're not discussing the show at all.
You can count the show as one entity.
Yeah, I like that idea. I like that idea.
I really like that too. Okay, I'm gonna go. Oh boy, on the spot. I'm gonna put, because I think it so well balances the horror and silly elements of it, and I'm guessing this will not be a popular opinion. I'm gonna put the show in my top three.
Nice.
I'm gonna put it. I might even. They're all first place. All three of my top three are first place, but the show is up there. There's a moment in the show where they reference the fact that they can only say fuck so many times in the show. So Chucky kills someone, then looks down the barrel of the camera and just goes fuck, 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 until the credits roll. It's incredible.
A lot of good stuff like that.
Incredible. So that's great. I think you have to say the original Child's Play as well, just for a straight up, like, it is the horror iteration of what this franchise is.
Yeah.
That's the most pure distillation of it. And I think Bride, because Bride is when it really, I think Bride of Chucky is when this series was like, hey, this is our fourth movie. We know who we can be. We know the direction we can go. I want to explore this lane.
Yeah.
I want to go this way with it. And I'm always constantly standing up for artists that do stuff that is less popular, but more in line with what they want it to be, right? Like, I'm a dork for the band Tool, who just gets weirder and more progressive. Time signatures make less and less sense with every release. And I love it because it seems to make them happy. Even if I can't headbang along as easily, like I love that they're pushing boundaries. And I think that the original Child's Play is an incredible example of that. I think Bride of Chucky is the next step of that. And I think the show, making it work in that new format and telling a long-term story by intention, that's what makes that my top three.
All right. Love it. I think it's a great smattering of all the different iterations, like you said, of the franchise. And that's perfect. What do you got, Fred?
I'll just get them out to you. I'm going to do number one, Bride of Chucky. It's kind of the first horror movie where I was not too afraid, and I'm like, I'm rolling with this.
For sure.
Then it's Child's Play, probably better than Bride of Chucky, but that's what it is for me. Honestly, I gotta go number three is Seed of Chucky. I think it's just like, I saw it in theaters. It was a funny experience. I do love that it's him cracking the can open.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great way to look at it. And I'm kind of excited to go back and visit Seed. I think there's a lot that I want to see now, and I've got the rest of October now to enjoy that. For me, keep it nice and simple because I've only seen so many of them. For me, number one, it's Child's Play 1. It's very simple, very straightforward. It's a great movie, I think, even on its own. Number two, I'll go with you guys, Bride of Chucky. It's a lot of fun. It's surprisingly a lot of fun. And I think you get just a whole new flavor for this franchise and a whole new imagining. It's the first Chucky title, right? Number three, since I have not seen all these, I'm excited to check out the show, Seed. I'm gonna go with 2, and mostly just based on that last set piece in
Hell
the
yeah.
Toy Factory.
Fair.
It's
Yeah.
so well put together. Hat tip to Lafia, or right? I keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For putting together something that's super, super exciting and very tense, even when you know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And that, I believe, gets us to the end of our episode, gentlemen. It's been a fantastic time talking about Chucky with you, John. Before we let you go, though, anything you would like to plug?
I mean, first of all, thank you again for having me. This is a pure delight. I know I'm stepping on your schedule with how excited I am to talk about all this stuff.
Not at all.
I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful also for your flexibility, because we quick editors thing. We did have to reschedule this because things are bonkers all the time. So, appreciate you guys. Appreciate what you're doing. I love celebrating things that are worth celebrating, especially in a world that is as funky as this one gets to be, more than I think any of us would like. I will plug, I'm in a show called Midnight Show. It's every Saturday at 11:59 p.m. at 420 South First Street. It's Comedy Sports Milwaukee. It's $10 cash. It's 18 and over. It is improvised, uncensored comedy. So trying to make some weird stuff happen to bring some joy during dark times, maybe culturally and also literally, because it's the middle of the night.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's a great time. I have been overdue for another visit to the Midnight Show. I need to get back there. Go check that out. It's super fun.
If I can say real quick, if you find us on Instagram or Facebook, it's at Midnight NITE, MIDNITE show, SHOW. I make all the graphics that we put up,
and they're great.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, it's worth a follow just to see these great graphics.
Thank you. I did horror characters of us last year that I might have to repost. I think I'm Michael Myers. I think Alan is Alan is Pennywise, and Tim is Freddy Krueger.
Oh.
Good matches.
That's
Fun stuff.
very on vibe for you guys.
Yeah.
Past guest Alan Guskowski now.
Yeah, we just gotta get Tim on. That's
absolutely.
That's
we're gonna
2
get him.
episodes in a row we've talked about Tim.
I've talked to Tim about it.
Or we could talk to Tim about a movie he's in as well.
What movie is that?
He's in a movie called The Field. And you should, oh my gosh, there are horror legends in that movie. I think is it Barbara Crampton?
I know Barbara Crampton, not personally, but
I don't know if it's her or someone, but I think Barry Bostwick is in it.
Hell
I think.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's it's very fun. And when Tim first told me about it, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in this movie." And then you watch the movie, and Tim is the main character of the movie. Like it's great. I think there's a lot of local folks involved, but very fun. The Field.
The Field. Okay, so this is not the Richard Harris movie. I'm like looking at this. I'm like
18, 17.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to look it up. But great.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing that. Fred, anything you would like to plug?
we drop it on the 24th. So tonight, come check me out. The Sugar Maple. I'm playing with No Dice. We're doing a very special edition of No Dice Werewolf Edition. It is on theme. This is also my birthday weekend, so try to make that show. And if you can't make that show, the 25th, I am hosting and producing a Halloween Hootenanny at the Interchange Theater, where we're going to do some short form games, some long form, some campfire stories, and we're going to have a musical improv group open for us. So it'll be a fun night. Wear a costume. We'll have marshmallows. It'll be good.
Yeah. That's a great time. Check that out tonight. The Sugar Maple. It's No Dice. Might be having a plug for that coming up too for myself, but we'll save that for today. Go see Fred tonight with a great cast of characters. It sounds like great cast of improvisers and comedians.
Some previous guests
of galore. As for me, I am just going to promote the show. So if you enjoyed what you are hearing, please remember to rate, review us wherever you are getting your podcasts. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube. Join our Patreon for just $1 a month. You can get exclusive content. We have bonus episodes every month. This coming month, actually, we already dropped our Patreon this month. We did Creep Show. So if you guys did not catch that, you need to go check that out, because that was a super fun episode Fred and I did on the Creep Show, another franchise that had movies that turned into a TV show.
Yeah.
So very fun. Next month, though, we are doing Thanksgiving themed movies. So that'll be a lot of fun.
The rabbit hole is deep, we're finding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Special thanks to Nick Spitza and Mike Schwantz for our opening and closing theme song. And stay tuned for next time. But we already talked about it a little bit. We are going to be talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, yeah.
That is, I got a lot to say about that. But we said enough today about Chucky. John, thank you so much again for coming.
Absolutely. I got 2 last words, and I don't know if they're Chucky's actual last words on the show, but just if you haven't been sold on watching it yet, I will end with this. Fuck Santa.
We'll see you guys next time.
Goodbye.
I got no cares, 'cause all I wanna do is charge my phone and drive listening to you. And what they talk about will always be up to you.
I was early.